السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. إنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. Brothers and sisters in Islam, today's session and tomorrow's inshallah will be inshallah discussing together and elaborating upon the book of Iman of Shaykh al-Imam Abu Ubaid al-Qasim ibn Salam rahimahullah ta'ala. And before we delve into the topic, the issue of Iman is very essential and very important for every Muslim to know, because there are actually erroneous and mistaken notions or misconceptions about the Iman happened among the Muslims. And they are deviant sects who adopted these wrong misconceptions or concepts. The Iman, according to the belief, according to the Salaf creed or the belief of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that, as you can see on the blackboard, that Iman is the utterance of the tongue, by the tongue, that you have to express the Iman verbally, and then also the limbs should manifest that Iman through the actions, and also the heart should have the conviction that will never be shaken. So it's conviction in the heart and utterance on the tongue and action by the limbs. That's the Iman. And these three elements, actually this is a crash course, brothers, so I am wondering why you don't have handouts or pencil, pens and papers. Okay, this is not a lecture. Okay, and this is very, very important issue. It is an issue of Iman. So, I hope inshallah you are Muhammad Ismail Bukhari, all of you. You know Muhammad Ismail Bukhari? Imam Muhammad Ismail Bukhari, when his colleagues were writing, he was not writing. So they used to tell him write. So the Sheikh would tell them, leave Muhammad. Muhammad now is recording for the years. For years he is recording. When he goes back to Bukhara, he will just go there and record everything and jot it down. So inshallah all of you are like that. So that's why you don't bring pens and papers. So tomorrow inshallah pens and papers, okay? Inshallah. So these are the three elements or three components of Iman, and they are interconnected, okay? And all of them constitute the entity of Iman or the reality of Iman. The three elements, what are they? Utterance of the tongue, conviction of the heart, and action by the limbs. Three elements, three components, interconnected, they constitute Iman. Because there are deviant sects, we'll come across them, inshallah, who some they say Iman is only the conviction of the heart. Conviction by the heart, that's it. And those are known as the Jahmites or the Jahmiyyah, deviant sect. Some they say Iman is only by the tongue and the heart, and those are known, okay, as the Murji'ah. Okay, they exclude the action of the limbs from the definition of Iman. And the true group, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they say Iman, three elements, three components together. And you can see here in the hadith of Jibreel. See, hadith of Jibreel, when he came to the Prophet ﷺ and he asked him about Islam and Iman and Ihsan. Okay? And these three are the deen. This is the deen. The deen, Islam, Iman and Ihsan. The three elements, they constitute the deen. That's why he said at the end of the hadith, this is Jibreel, Ja'a yu'allimkum deenakum. Jibreel came to teach you your deen. And you can see there on this Venn diagram that the outer circle is the Islam, the next circle, which is circle number 2, is the Iman, and the third circle is the Ihsan. You understand? See the diagram. So if you are in circle number 3, that you reach the Ihsan, then you are mu'min and Muslim at the same time. Right? If you are in circle 3, then you are mu'min and Muslim. If you are in circle 2, you are mu'min and Muslim. If you are in circle 1, you are Muslim. Understand? So, Islam is global. The meaning is broader. Then Iman, the circle is getting shrinking. And then the Ihsan. And the highest is which is the highest? Ihsan. The highest is the Ihsan. That's where the Prophet ﷺ said that you worship Allah as if you are seeing Him. Though you don't see Him, He is seeing you. So Ihsan is the highest level. Now, the book of the author, this book, it's there on the net, on the internet, you can download it easily. But inshallah, by tomorrow, we'll have the handouts. Alright. The book of Iman by Abu Ubaid Al-Qasim Ibn Salam, rahimahullah ta'ala. Biography of the author is Abu Ubaid Al-Qasim Ibn Salam Al-Baghdadi. He's from Baghdad. The Imam, the Mujtahid. So he's an Imam and Mujtahid. Mujtahid, that means he is entitled to practice Ijtihad. And what is Ijtihad? To deduce the rules directly from the source, from the Quran and the Sunnah. When you reach that level, and you can deduce the rules directly from the text, and from whether the text is Quranic text or the text of the Sunnah, then you are a Mujtahid. And there are different levels of Mujtahid. We have absolute Mujtahid, okay, who will be a scholar in different disciplines of knowledge. In the tafsir of the Quran, in the hadith, in the fiqh, in usul al-fiqh. He masters multiple disciplines of knowledge. Or you can have a mujtahid who is only in certain specific discipline of knowledge, like in fiqh or hadith or tafsir. Are you following? That's the meaning of mujtahid. The mujtahid, the ocean of knowledge. Okay, that his knowledge is so great. The linguist, he was also a linguist. Linguist, that means he knows the language. He's a grammarian. And the legal jurist, and he's faqih at the same time in the Sharia. He was born in Hara or Hara in about the year 158 of course, Hijri year. And his father was a Roman slave. So his father was a slave to some of the people of Hara. He heard and learned from a group of the trustworthy Imams, his mashayikh, his scholars, like Sufyan ibn Uyayna. MashaAllah. See, he's a student of Sufyan ibn Uyayna. You don't know these names, that's why. Okay, but if you know those scholars, those are towering figures. These names are towering figures. Sufyan ibn Uyayna, Ismail ibn Ulayya, those are Imams of Hadith. Yazid ibn Harun, Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan, this is the doctor of Hadith, the surgeon in Hadith. Okay, Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan is one of the Imams of Jarh. What does it mean, Imam of Jarh? Those scholars who will tell whether this hadith is sound or defective. Is this hadith sound? Is this hadith sahih or weak? So Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan is one of those scholars. Abdul Rahman ibn Mahdi and Hammad ibn Salama and others. These are the scholars and the teachers of our Imam Abu Ubaid al-Qasim ibn Salam. Imam al-Darimi rahimahullah and Abu Bakr ibn Abi Dunya and Ali bin Abdul Aziz al-Baghawi and Muhammad ibn Yahya al-Marwazi and others narrated from him. They took ilm and they learned from him. Imam Ishaq ibn Rahawayh said, what the scholars said about Abu Ubaid al-Qasim ibn Salam. Imam Ishaq ibn Rahawayh said, Allah loves the truth. Allah loves the truth. Allah yuhibbul haqq. Allah loves the truth. Abu Ubaid is more knowledgeable and has deeper understanding than me. Subhanallah. See the humility, how humble they are. He said, Allah loves the truth. I'm telling you that Abu Ubaid has more knowledge than I have, and has deeper understanding than me. He also said, Imam Ishaq ibn Rahawayh, we are dependent upon Abu Ubaid. We are dependent upon him. And Abu Ubaid is not dependent upon us. We need him, and we need his knowledge, and he is not in need of ours. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal said, Abu Ubaid is a teacher. He's a ustad. Ustad in the sense that he is qualified. We are in need of his knowledge. He teaches us. And every day he increases in good. Every day he increases in the khayr. And this is a testimony and a certificate from Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And Yahya ibn Ma'in, this is also one of the scholars of hadith, and those who are the experts in criticizing and evaluating the narrators. Yahya ibn Ma'in was asked about him, about Abu Ubaid, to which he replied that people should ask Abu Ubaid about him. He said, he replied that people should ask Abu Ubaid about him. What does it mean? Don't come to me and ask me about him. Go and ask him about me. Understand? He is telling them, in other words, who am I to evaluate this Imam? He is the one who is in the position to tell me, you, what is my status? I am nothing. You should not come and ask me about him. And this shows that how the scholars, they were respecting this Imam. And also shows us the manners which we lack. The manners that those scholars used to have. which we should learn from these things and try to adorn and beautify our character by such beautiful characteristics and qualities. Imam Abu Dawood said that about him, he said he's trustworthy, thiqah. That means if when he narrates the hadith, you accept his hadith. Reliable. Thiqatun thabt. Okay? These are descriptions will be given for the narrator. He is reliable. He is trustworthy. So when he narrates, when you see his name in the isnad of hadith, no need to go and check. Because he is trustworthy and he is reliable. Al-Hafiz al-Dhahabi said, rahimahullah, whosoever looks into the books of Abu Ubaid will know his high rank in memorization and knowledge. He was a Hafiz of hadith and its defects. This title Hafiz used to be given, they would say, a person who is Hafiz when he memorizes 1 million hadith. You are surprised, right? Yeah. Okay. And of course, different hadith, whether sahih and da'if and mursal, munqata', all different various of versions, types of hadith. Then they give this title Hafiz. He was Hafiz of hadith and its defects. He knows the defects of the hadith. I don't want to delve into the science of hadith, otherwise I'll look. Okay? But the doctors of hadith, the experts, they will look to the isnad and say, oh, there is a defect. This narrator is weak, there is a defect. This narrator is a liar, so this hadith is not true hadith. Okay? So he knows the ilal, what we call ilal, defects of hadith. Imam Bukhari, his reputation travels far. Before he comes, everyone knows about Bukhari. Before he arrives in any town, people, they know Bukhari. So in Baghdad, the scholars of Iraq, they tried to test him. So what they did to Imam Bukhari, they brought 100 narrator and they gave 100 man and they gave everyone a hadith. And they told him, narrate this hadith, say it. And the isnad of every hadith, they removed the isnad of this hadith and they put it on the matan of the other hadith. You see, the hadith consists of two parts, isnad and matan. Isnad is the chain of the narrators. Ibn Abbas said, so and so said, so and so said. This chain is called isnad. And the saying of the Prophet, when the companion said, the Prophet said, that we call it matan. We call it what? Matan. So what they did, they removed the isnads of the hadith and they put them in different hadith. The isnad of this hadith, isnad of hadith number 1, put it in isnad hadith number 2. And they read the ahadith to Imam Bukhari. Imam Bukhari, when they read the ahadith, every time they read the hadith, he said, I don't know this hadith. Which is true. Because there isn't a hadith by this isnad. Which is true. This hadith doesn't exist with this isnad. He said, I don't know this. So the naive ones, they say, who is this? Who is Bukhari? Bukhari doesn't know anything. And the knowledgeable ones, they said, oh, he discovered the trick now. He knew the trick. When they finished reading the 100 hadith, he said, he memorized them now with the new isnads. See, this is the uniqueness of Bukhari. He memorizes the 100 hadith with the new isnads. And he said, this hadith with this isnad is not true. After he's saying it, he said the hadith, with the new isnad. He said, this isnad is not the isnad of this hadith, this isnad is the isnad of this hadith. And he put the isnads back. And then he mentioned the ahadith with their original isnads. Then the whole said, you are the imam. Okay? You are the leader in this field. So here Imam Dahawi said, whoever looks into the books of Abu Ubaid will know his high rank in memorization and knowledge. He was the hafiz of hadith and its defects, knowledgeable of fiqh. See, they were not only in hadith, he knows only hadith, no, he also knows the fiqh. So he's imam in hadith and imam in fiqh as well. Because they are scholars of hadith, they were only scholars in hadith. They don't know anything about the fiqh. And the difference of opinions, he knows the different opinions of the scholars. A pillar in the language, he's a scholar also because he's a linguist. So he knows the language very well. An imam in recitation, also he is an imam in the different modes of recitation, what we call ulum al-qira'at. See, there are different, now it is a field. Now, it is a field. When you go, you specialize. In the college, it's only the Quran. So you graduate in that field nowadays. And now also, hadith and sharia. You cannot have all of them. An imam in recitation, and he had books concerning them. Or he also compiled and wrote books regarding these disciplines of knowledge. I have come across his books, Kitab al-Amwal. This is one of the famous books, and it is a reference. This book is talking about the financial issues in Islam. Finance. It's a reference. Until this moment, those who wrote thesis in economics, etc., they refer to his book. Al-Amwal, Kitab al-Amwal. And Kitab al-Nasikh wal-Mansukh. He also wrote about al-Nasikh wal-Mansukh. What does it mean, al-Nasikh wal-Mansukh? The abrogator and the abrogated. Okay? We have a text that is abrogated. So the text that abrogated this, we call it al-Nasikh, the abrogator itself. And the text which has been abrogated and cancelled is mansukh. Am I clear? Are you following? Al-Nasikh wal. And for the alim, the scholar, or the students of knowledge, he has to know these things. Has to know these things. Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, he found a man teaching in the masjid. He told him, do you know the Nasikh and Mansukh? He said, no. He said, leave the masjid. You are not authorized, you are not entitled to teach till you know the Nasikh and Mansukh. Let's give you one example. Hadith is in Bukhari. Some might get the Bukhari and read it and do it. The Hadith in Bukhari says, if a man sleeps with his wife and he fails to ejaculate, he just takes wudu. Have you come across that hadith? Alhamdulillah. Okay? This hadith is in Bukhari. That if a man sleeps with his wife and he fails to ejaculate, then there is no ghusl, only wudu. You take wudu and that's it. So if one now applies that hadith, he is mistaken. He is wrong. Because the hadith is abrogated. It has no effect. It's cancelled. It's abrogated. What abrogated it? The other hadith, which is in Sahih Muslim. This was in the early days of the Da'wah, early days of Islam. The other hadith which abrogated it is the hadith in Sahih Muslim that says, when the two circumcised parts touch each other, إذا مس الختان الختان, فقد وجب الغسل أنزل أو لم ينزل. When the two circumcised parts touch each other, then both of them, they are obliged to take a bath, whether he ejaculated or not. So that hadith abrogated this. It abrogated this hadith. So if you don't know the naskh and mansukh, you will be applying that one, which is abrogated. Okay. The hadith says that in the two private parts, which means the penis and the private part, female private part. And what does it mean when the two circumcised private parts touch each other? Is it the mere touch? No, it's the penetration. Penetration has to take place. As Ibn Abu Huraira said, when the round one, he's referring to the head of the penis, said when the round one disappeared into the vagina, then you have to take a shower. Okay? So here he wrote a book, Kitab al-Nasikh wal-Mansukh. Clear? And also the same thing in the Quran. There are verses that are abrogated. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi said, he was possessing nobility. That Abu Ubaid was a noble person, high caliber person, gentleman. Religion, he's a religious person. He fears Allah. Excellent manners. He had excellent manners. And always the scholars will be like that. Scholars, they fear Allah. And you'll see them, they are humble, very humble. Sometimes you will not recognize that this is a scholar or this is a alim. He's a layman, he doesn't know anything. But when he speaks, you see the pearls are falling out of his mouth. Pick the various types of benefit. But when you see him, see, what's this person? He doesn't know anything. That's how the scholars are. We have a saying in Arabic, says that when the corn of maize, the ear of maize, or corn, the ear, when it is full of grains, it is down to close to the ground, right? Because it is heavy, it's full of grains. When it is empty, it is up in the sky. True or not? So when the ear is full of grains, it's down. When it is empty, it is high. So when the head is empty, it's high. When the head is full, it's down. So you find those now who are talking and arrogant because their heads are empty. They have no ilm. They have no knowledge. That's why they made blunders and they are arrogant, no humility, no humbleness, etc. Excellent manner, a good madhab, his methodology, his way is upon the madhab of the Salaf. That's the best. If you want to go to the Jannah, you have to be upon the methodology, the way of the Sahaba and Tabi'een and Tabi'een. You have no other choice. If you choose any other way apart from the way of the Sahaba, Tabi'een, Tabi'een, then you will go to hell. There's no other choice, brothers. The Prophet ﷺ made it very clear. Okay? He said that the Jews were divided into 71 sects. The Jews. The Christians into 72. And my ummah is going to be divided into 73 sects. 72 into hell. Only one will be delivered. And when he was asked, what is the characteristics of this one, with this group and sect which is going to be saved? He said, those who are upon what I am upon today and what you are upon today. So if you want to go to the Jannah, you have to be upon what the Sahaba were upon. You have no other choice. No way. And logically, when you think about it, do you think that we will know the deen better than Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali and Talha and Zubayr? Impossible. Who can dare to say that? That I will know the deen better than Abu Bakr as-Siddiq? Or Umar ibn Khattab, or Uthman ibn Affan, or Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiyallahu anhum. Those whom Allah said, radiyallahu anhum, wa radu an. Allah is pleased with them and they are pleased with Allah. Is Allah pleased with you? No. So Allah is pleased with them, so follow their way. So their way is the safest way. The way that will guarantee your arrival to the Jannah by Allah's grace. Just follow them blindly. So that's what he meant here, a good madhab. That he was upon the way of the Sahaba. The Sahaba. And excellent books sought after in every land. His books, people are searching for them. The people are searching for his books that he wrote. And the narrators from him are famous and trustworthy. Those who took the knowledge from him. And we just mentioned few. Among them is Imam Darimi. Deserving of mention and excellence. When people they talk about him, they praise him. And his book concerning Al-Amwal, okay, financial issues and the capital, is one of the best books written on fiqh. Then he carries on, Imam Dhahabi. I say despite these virtues, Imam Dhahabi say, I say despite these virtues and excellent qualities, the 6 Imams of the famous 6 books on Hadith did not report any of his Hadith. Though he is an Imam, okay, but the compilers of the Sunnah and the 2 Sahih, you know the 6 books or you don't know them? What are the 6 books? Bukhari and Muslim, Nasa'i, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, Abu Dawud. It's what? 6 books. So he said, despite these virtues and excellent qualities, the 6 Imams of the famous 6 books in Hadith did not report any of his Hadith. And this is from the many evidences that they reported from only some of the trustworthy narrators of Hadith. That the scholars of Hadith, those 6 books, they did not report every authentic Hadith. Bear this in mind. Not every Hadith they put in their books. And not every narrator they put his Hadith in their books. They chose and they selected. Imam Bukhari, the Hadith in Sahih Bukhari, less than 10,000. He selected them and he chose them from among 100,000 Hadith Sahih. He just selected them for us. And the rest, he kept them in other books. Though they are Sahih. Okay? And the Bukhari is a topic by himself. You want to talk about Bukhari. Because if you read Sahih Bukhari, sometimes you find the title is a hadith, isn't it? Have you noticed that? The title in Sahih Bukhari, then the hadith under it. The title itself is a hadith. If the title is hadith, why did he put it as a title, not a hadith? Oh, there is a reason. Because this hadith which he put it as a title doesn't meet his criteria. Because Bukhari, the criteria of Bukhari is the toughest criteria. So maybe this hadith is in Muslim, or maybe this hadith is in Musnad Ahmad. It is Sahih, but it is not meeting his criteria, so he will make it just the title. And then he will bring a hadith that matches and complies with his own, with the criteria of Bukhari, and he will mention that hadith. And sometimes in Bukhari, you will see the title and no hadith under. Have you come across that? Title, no hadith, blank. Why? Because the Bukhari, he put the titles, then he searched for the hadith that will agree with the title. And sometimes he didn't find a hadith matching his criteria, complying with his criteria, that suits that particular title. So he left it blank. Understand? So here, when the compilers of the Sunan and the two Sahih, they didn't report any of his hadith, this is from the many evidences, this is from the many proofs, adillah, that they reported from only some of the trustworthy narrators of hadith. Not every trustworthy narrator, they put his hadith in their books. Are you following, brothers? Clear? Okay. So there is nothing strange. After knowing this, that Imam Bukhari did not narrate from some of the trustworthy narrators from Ahlul Bayt, may Allah be pleased with them. By mentioning this, Imam Zahabi is saying, then don't wonder why Imam al-Bukhari did not mention the hadith of Ahlul Bayt in his book. Because he didn't say that he didn't make it a condition that every trustworthy narrator I'll put his hadith. He was very selective. He was very selective. So he chose certain hadith and he put in his Sahih. So you cannot use that point against him, against Bukhari, that since Bukhari did not mention any hadith of Ahlul Bayt, that he doesn't like Ahlul Bayt. You cannot jump to that conclusion. Because the scholars of hadith, as we have this example of Imam Ubayd ibn al-Qasim, though he is an Imam, they didn't mention his hadith. From the words of Abu Ubayd himself, what he said, may Allah have mercy upon him, he said, the follower of the Sunnah, he said, the follower of the Sunnah is like one holding into hot stones. He's saying the one who is following the Sunnah of the Prophet, and he's talking at his time, right? How about, if he sees our situation nowadays. He talks about his time and he says the follower of the Sunnah like one who's holding charcoal or hot stones in his hand. And in this day, at his time, he is more excellent in my eyes than the one who raises the sword in the way of Allah. Why? Because the sword of Allah, many Muslims will raise it. But not everyone who raises the sword of Allah to fight is on the right, is on the right path. Bear this in mind. There are many people fighting for the cause of Allah, but their aqidah is wrong. Many they were fighting the kuffar, and they are grave worshippers. This is a fact. They are grave worshippers, mushriks, but they are fighting the kuffar because the kuffar invaded their lands. You understand? So not everyone who's a mujahid, who's fighting, okay, yes, we support every Muslim who defending his land. That's the right upon every Muslim. But at the same time, you have to differentiate. And we have to correct their belief. You need to correct his belief. Though he's on the front line, you are going to die. You better die upon the right belief and the correct aqidah. That's why Abu Ubayd ibn al-Qasim here says And this day at his time, the one who is holding to the Sunnah, the one who is adhering to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and in this day he is more excellent in my eyes than the one who raises the sword in the way of Allah. Is better than the mujahid. Why? Because he is practicing the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, because at this time the one who practices the Sunnah, they are only few. And he's talking about his time, not our time. So those who are practicing only handfuls. They are strangers, they are ghuraba. I say this was in his time. Imam Dhahabi commenting, he said, I say this in his time, so what would be said about our times? Subhanallah. Of course, brothers and sisters, those who are upon the right way and the right track, they are strangers. You feel you are a stranger because the majority are against you. Everyone is saying, is it possible that you are right, you are correct, you are the only one? Why not? You know, a man came to Ali radiallahu anhu. You know, during the reign of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, he was the caliph. A lot of fitan happened, a lot of troubles. So a man came to say, why these troubles and afflictions? Did it happen during the reign and the caliphate, during the reign of Abu Bakr and Umar? Why only during your reign? He's insinuating that there is something wrong with you. Ali is very radiallahu anhu, smart, very witty. Told him, because Abu Bakr and Umar, they were ruling people like me. And my problem, I am ruling people like you. This is the problem. This is the difference. That Umar, he was ruling people like me, so he was not, we were not giving him any tough time, we're not giving him trouble. We saved him the trouble actually. Because we were so disciplined, so we will not disobey them. But you are rebellious time. Then he told him, don't know the truth by men, know the men by the truth. What does this mean? Some people, he will know the truth through the men. What does it mean? If this person is doing it, then it is the truth. Then it is the haqq. Not he will judge the person according to the truth. Is he upon the truth or not? No. He will make that the haqq follow this man. If this man is doing it, then that must be the haqq, that must be the truth. We should do the opposite. The truth should be known to us, and then we check this man. Is he upon the truth? Is he on the haqq? Is he in the right way or not? The right way should be clear. The haqq should be clear. Then whoever is complying with the haqq, following the haqq, we say, alright, we accept him and we respect him. If he is not following the haqq and the truth, then we say sorry. This person is not upon the haqq, he is not upon the truth. This is the criteria. For instance, I tell you, some people, some brothers or students of knowledge, if you tell them, what do you say about a person, X person says this? He says, well, this is wrong. Then you tell him, are you sure? He said, yes. Of course, this is against the belief of Ahlul Sunnah. Then you mention the name, he changes his opinion. When you tell him, but this is what so and so is saying, then he said, oh, I'll give it a second thought. Maybe. So this person, he doesn't know the haqq. And he doesn't want to follow the truth. Okay? He can twist the truth and reject it because this person said that. This is very dangerous. Very dangerous, very risky. The Muslim should follow the haqq irrespective who said it. You saw that, that in the hadith of Ayatul Kursi. Okay? Who taught Abu Hurairah Ayatul Kursi? Who taught him? Shaitan. Shaitan is the one who taught Abu Hurairah Ayatul Kursi. And Abu Hurairah learnt it from the Shaitan. 3 nights, because Abu Hurairah, the Prophet ﷺ told him, this is a pile of date. Okay? So protect it, guard it at night. So he found the thief, a man stealing. So he caught him. He told him, please, release me. I have children. I am poor. So he felt pity for him and they released him. The second day, the Prophet ﷺ said, what did you do with your prisoner? Allah found him. He said, Prophet of Allah, he said he is poor, he is this. He said, no, he didn't tell you the truth. He's going to come back. So Abu Hurairah said, the Prophet ﷺ told me he's going to come back, so I waited for him. And they caught him again. And he did the same thing and he released him. The third night, Abu Hurairah said, no way. 2 nights, you give your lame excuses and you come again. No way. I will tie you against this pillar, column. So he said, Abu Hurairah, listen. He will teach you an ayah. If you read it, no shaitan will come close to you. And he taught Abu Hurairah Ayatul Kursi. In the morning, the Prophet ﷺ asked Abu Hurairah, and Abu Hurairah told him, he gave these excuses and he taught me Ayatul Kursi. The Prophet ﷺ said, صَدَقَكَ وَهُوَ كَذُوبٌ صَدَقَكَ وَهُوَ كَذُوبٌ. In this he said the truth, though he is a liar. What does it mean? Here the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't say, no, he's a liar. He said, here he said the truth, though he's a liar. But this, what he said, is the truth. Many brothers, they don't want even to treat their brothers as if they are the shaitan. Even to that level they don't want to be. This brother is saying the truth, he's conveying to you the truth, but you will not accept it for him. Imagine he's the shaitan. Will you accept or not? This shows there is a sickness. This is a problem. We need to handle, we need to address. He, the Imam, rahimahullah, stayed in Baghdad for a time. Because he was born in Baghdad, he stayed in Baghdad teaching for a time. Then he became the Qadi in Tartus. Then after that he moved to Mecca. And he lived there till he died in the year 224. Rahimahullah ta'ala. And subhanallah, when we read in the biographies of the Salaf, many of them, towards the end of their lives, they will head towards Mecca and settle in Mecca and die in Mecca. Because they know these are the best places, Mecca and Medina. Best places to go and live and die. Okay? And towards the end of time, Islam will be between the two masjids, Mecca and Medina. Okay, this is the introduction. Should we proceed to the chapter? Okay. Chapter 1. The characteristics of faith concerning its completion and its levels. So this chapter is going to talk about the completion of Iman and what are the characteristics of the completion of Iman and the various levels of Iman. Because we, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the followers of the Salaf al-Salih, the creed of the pious predecessors, we know that Iman has many levels and consists of more than 70 something branches. And the highest one is La ilaha illallah, and the lowest one to remove any harm from the road. And these levels, the people, they vary. And I want you to bear in mind that the Iman has a reference. This is the basic reference, and on top of this level everyone should have, every Muslim, and here the increment. So the increment will be on top of the basic. There is a minimum level everyone should have. So the increment will be here on top of that. Okay? If you lose the minimum one, then you are not a Muslim. You are out of Islam. If the decrement reaches the minimum level, the foundation, and the foundation is gone, then you are not within the fold of Islam. You are a kafir. Bear this in mind. Always the things, the increment, the increase and decrease will be on top of the minimum level, which every Muslim should have. Is this clear? Always bear this in mind. So this chapter is going to talk about the characteristics of Iman, how the Iman is complete, and how can you try to perfect your Iman, and what are the various levels of Iman. That is the chapter. He said, rahimahullah, indeed you have asked me about faith, about the Iman, and the difference of the nation concerning its completion and its increasing and decreasing. So someone asked him, and he wrote this book, Kitab al-Iman, in Arabic, and it has been checked by Shaykh Nasr al-Din al-Albani. So the ahadith are being checked by Shaykh Nasr al-Din al-Albani, rahimahullah ta'ala, concerning its completion and its increasing and decreasing. And you mentioned that you would like to know the position of Ahl Sunnah with regards to this. So the questioner asked the Imam, I want to know what is the stance, what's the opinion of the Salaf, the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and the proof of those who differ from them on this. The questioner also asked for the evidence. What is the evidence of those who differed with Ahl Sunnah, like the Murji'ah, the Mu'tazila, the other deviant sects? Okay? So he said, so indeed may Allah have mercy upon you. Know that this subject was discussed by the Salaf at the beginning of this Ummah. The Salaf, they discussed the issues. You know that when the first bid'ah appeared was the bid'ah of Qadar. The bid'ah on Qadar, predestiny, preordainment. And this bid'ah, the Mu'tazila, they were saying there is no Qadar. Allah didn't preordain things. Allah doesn't know things prior to their occurrence. He said Allah knows things after they happen, not before they happen. Are you following? And of course here, if Allah doesn't know what is going to happen in His kingdom, this is an attribute of ignorance you are attributing to Allah. The Mu'tazila. And they denied the Qadr. So Ibn Umar, two tabi'een, the tabi'een, the hadith is in Bukhari, they went to Mecca and they met Ibn Umar. They said, what do you think of people who seek the ilm and the religious knowledge, and they are scholars, but yet they say this? Ibn Umar said, tell them that Ibn Umar, he washes his hand of you. I am free of what you are saying. And tell them, by Allah, if any one of them, or every one of them, if any one of them gives in the way of Allah a wealth which is equivalent to the weight of the Mount of Uhud, Allah will not accept it from him until he believes in the Qadr. If he pays in the way of Allah gold in the size of the Mount of Uhud, it will not be accepted from him till he believes in the Qadr, good and evil, from Allah. So that is the first bid'ah. And you'll be surprised, brothers, if you know that these bid'ahs, the ones really, the handlers or hidden hands behind them, are non-Muslims. The bid'ah which is about the Qadr, which is Ma'bad al-Juhani, okay, is the one who advocated it and called the people towards it. The one who taught him this and put that doubt into his mind is a Persian Christian called Sawsan. The same thing, the Jahmiyyah, deviant sect, Jahm ibn Safwan, who negated the attributes of Allah and the names of Allah. When we trace, we found that Al-Jahm learned from Al-Ja'd ibn Dirham, and Al-Ja'd ibn Dirham from Aban ibn Sab'an, and Aban ibn Sab'an from Talut, and Talut from Labid ibn al-A'sam, the Yahud. And if you take all these things, the corruption, the bid'ahs, various bid'ahs in the belief and ideology, you'll find the Jews behind that. Not only those who misled many Muslims, also the Christians, they were misled by the Jews. The one who invented for them the Holy Trinity is Paul, Saint Paul. Who's Saint Paul? Is Saul. He's a Jew. He's what? A Jew. So here the author, rahimahullah, saying, this subject was discussed by the Salaf at the beginning of this Ummah, and by those followed them, the Tabi'een, and those who followed them till this day of ours. I have written to you a short explanation. So this is an answer for a question, okay? Like Aqidah Wasatiyah, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. It was a request. A man from Wasat in Iraq, he came to Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah and he told him, please write for me the Aqidah, the belief of Ahl Sunnah, so I want to read it at home for my children. So Ibn Taymiyyah, he wrote it between Asr and Maghrib. You know the Wasatiyah? That is between Asr and Maghrib. Shaykh al-Islam sat down and wrote it and gave it to him. Between Asr and Maghrib, okay? And now he was not opening the books. Ibn Taymiyyah, when they talked about him, they say, when he is writing, he will not stop for thinking. The only time he will stop is to dip the feather into the ink and to carry on. Not like us who would write a paragraph, few lines, they say, okay, squeeze my mind, what to say next. No. Things are coming out, pouring down. He will just stop to give the feather to write with it. That's it. So when the man asked him, write something for me and my family, he said, okay. From Asr Maghrib, he gave him this Aqidah, which now we are reading and explaining it. Alright? Okay. So he told him, I have written to you a short explanation of what I know concerning this. This was always, you'll be surprised, the scholars, they had photographic memories. Imagine Zad al-Ma'ad. You have Zad al-Ma'ad now in English, right? By Ibn al-Qayyim. This he wrote it in his journey to Mecca. He was traveling, so he was writing Zad al-Ma'ad. And now when you read Zad al-Ma'ad, you think, how come? There were no references with him, no books with him, and he wrote this massive work from his memory. And he would tell you this hadith is in this book and that book, and this hadith has this narrator and his weak narrator. Subhanallah. Everything is there. Everything is in their mind. Imam Ibn Hazm, sorry for this coming out. Imam Ibn Hazm, have you heard Imam Ibn Hazm? He's one of the jurists, fuqaha, and he wrote a book, is Al-Muhalla. Al-Muhalla is a massive book on fiqh. This book, his original book, they burnt him, his books in front of him in Spain. His enemies, Muslims, but they didn't like him, so they brought all his books and they burned his books in front of his eyes. While they were burning his books, he was laughing. So what are you doing? Oh, this is here and here. What are you doing? He said, I will never leave my ilm on the shelf. Never leave my knowledge in the book. Always with me. And it will go with me to the grave. And then after that he wrote to the Muhalla which we have now. Okay? One of the Imams, when he was a boy, going to learn the ilm from one scholar to another scholar, he was young in the same locality, because in those days the locality full of ulama. So he would move from one scholar to another scholar. In the way, a thief met him. Said him, give me the money. He said, I don't have any money. So he took his book, notebook, which he writes his the hadith and ayat in a notebook. So the thief took it. So when the thief took the book, he cried. He said, my knowledge, the ilm is there. He said, what? If the ilm is in the book, it's not ilm. If the knowledge is there in the book, it's not on your head, you're not a student of knowledge. Never leave the knowledge in the book, keep it in your mind. The thief told him that. He said, that is one of the precious pieces of advices I got. So from that day, I will never leave it there in the book. I will write it in the book, memorize it and store it in my memory. Okay. So he said, I have written to you a short explanation of what I know concerning this. Know, may Allah have mercy upon you, that the people of knowledge and concern for the religion have split into groups over this issue. People have split over this issue, the issue of Iman, into two groups. One of them says, one group says, faith is sincerity, ikhlas in the heart to Allah, and testimony of the tongue, the utterance of the tongue, and action of the limbs. Who are they? Ahlul Sunnah, the correct group. The other group says, rather faith is in the heart and upon the tongue. It's only in the heart and upon the tongue. And as for actions, then they are from taqwa. The taqwa or righteousness or God consciousness and birr, piety, and not included in faith. And those are the murji'ah. The murji'ah are the ones who excluded what? Which element they excluded? The actions, the amal. The actions of the limbs, they excluded it out of the definition of Iman. Out of the definition of Iman. Alright. Of course, so the true belief and the true Aqidah, the true belief, is the belief of Ahlul Sunnah, the Salaf, which is that Iman consists of three components: the heart, conviction in the heart, utterance by the tongue, and action by the limbs. And you find nowadays many Muslims, they are having or advocating the belief of the Murji'ah, or many Muslims, their understanding of Iman is only heart and tongue. Find them alcoholic. You find them doing all types of haram. No salah, no siyam, nothing. But they tell you, Iman is here. Everyone is tapping his heart. Have you come across them? Iman is here. This is the belief of the Murji'ah. It's not the belief of Ahl-Sunnah. The one who says Iman here, tell him you are lying. Because there is no Iman there at all. If there is Iman there, that Iman has to be manifested. It should be shown. It should be reflected. It should govern your limbs. Let us tell you one thing. All of us believe that the fire burns, right? Anyone who doesn't believe? Anyone? All of you? Okay. God forbid that fire started here. All of us will run away. Right? No one will stay. If someone says, I believe that the fire burns, but I will not run away, I will stay until the fire burns me, what do you think of him? Something wrong. Crazy, right? Yes, no doubt. Insane. Because if you believe that the fire burns, you will run away. Right? Okay. Now, if you believe that there is hellfire, and the person says, yes, I believe there is hellfire and all these things, but I will do the things that will take me there. What do you think of him? He doesn't believe. Because the person who said, I believe that the fire burns, and he said, either he's crazy or he doesn't believe. One of the two. If the person now believes that the hellfire is there and it burns and etc., etc., and is not afraid of the hellfire, and then he claims that he believes, no, he doesn't believe. If he believes, then he will be afraid. And he will try to avoid the things that will take him to the hellfire. Not that maybe he believes, but out of a weakness in Iman, regarding 1 point or 2 points in his life, he has that points of weakness, like for instance, he loves women or alcohol. It could be understood. But to live every good deed, no salah, no siyam, no zakat, nothing, no hajj, nothing. How then he can claim that he is what? Mu'min. This is impossible. Imagine a person comes to the Prophet ﷺ and he told him, O Prophet of Allah, I believe that you are the Prophet of Allah, but I will not follow you, and I will not pray, and I will not fast, and I will not do this. And what do you think the Prophet ﷺ will? He says, what Iman do you want? So, we should not be influenced by this horrible and destructive belief, which is the aqidah of the Murji'ah, which is many Muslims practically they are practicing it. Maybe they don't know the historical background. Yes, he doesn't know, but in reality he is doing the exact thing that this deviant sect preach or indoctrinated to the people in the past. So bear that in mind and try to be always upon the way of the Sahaba, the Tabi'een. That is the only safe way. And we looked into the difference of opinion of these groups. So he is saying now, the Imam Abu Ubaid, he said, we looked into the difference of opinion of these two groups, the two opinions, and we analyzed them. And we checked them according to the criteria. What's the criteria? Quran and Sunnah. Because always we have to do that. And if the Muslims, for any difference, they take it and check it against the touchstone. Okay? You know, touchstone for the jewelers. Bring a money metal, throw it. This is not gold. So the touchstone is the criteria, the Quran and Sunnah. So anything, any difference, if I differ with you, say, okay, let's go to the Quran and Sunnah. And we'll see who's right and who's wrong. That will solve the problem. That will solve the problem. He said, we looked into the difference of opinions of these two groups, and we found that the book and the Sunnah affirmed the truth of the group that made faith, intention, saying and action. In other words, he said, when we referred to the Quran and Sunnah, we found that the Quran and Sunnah is supporting the Salaf. That what the Salaf said, the Sahaba said, when they defined the Iman, that it is an utterance by the tongue and conviction in the heart and action by the limbs, that the Quran and the Sunnah, they are supporting them. That their saying is in complete compliance with the Quran and Sunnah. Just fitting, like a glove fits your hand. No difference at all between what they said and what the Quran and the Sunnah said. And the basis of this, the criteria, and the basis of this, which is our proof, said, if you want to know what is our proof, that the belief of Ahlul Sunnah is the correct thing, and the basis of this is our proof, is following what the Quran has spoken of. For indeed Allah has said in the unequivocal verse of His book, إن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر ذلك خير وأحسن تأويلا. This is what Allah said in Surah An-Nisa, ayah 59. Say, if you differ among yourselves on anything, then refer it back to Allah and the Messenger. Which means refer it to the Quran and the Sunnah. If you believe in Allah, if you really believers, you have Iman, you refer it to the Quran and Sunnah. And the last day, if you believe in Allah and the last day, that is better and more suitable for final determination. So, now, any issue we differ upon it, we have to refer it to the Quran and the Sunnah. And we found that your opinion, the Quran supports it and the Sunnah supports it, and what the other opinion says, it is against what the Quran says. So that person has to bow to the truth and accept the truth. Say, I'm mistaken. Not that he grows in arrogance and say, no, I still believe in what I have. Then he's not a believer, he's not mu'min. Because the criteria is the book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Things are not left for our own whims and fancies and desires, no. Things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala finalized and decided. So we just have to follow what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided and what His Prophet ﷺ. Am I clear? Alright. So always put this in mind. Whenever you differ upon anything, see what Allah said, what the Prophet said. We always have to run our life according to the book of Allah. If I am mistaken, let us call a scholar or someone and ask him. No ill feelings, nothing. We'll call him. If you are correct, I'll follow what you are saying. Not because I'm the man, you have to listen to me. Doesn't work like that. No dictatorship, huh? You are following the truth. But for instance, in certain areas, yes, the man has to have the final word. because he is the captain. He is steering the ship. And the ship cannot have two captains, right? What will happen if the ship has two captains? It will sink. It will drown. Okay? So that's why the man is finally, he is the one who decides. But of course, he should not be a dictator. He can consult his wife, asking, see her advice, what she thinks. Sometimes they come up with, mashallah, brilliant ideas. Like, you know, the Prophet ﷺ, he is our example. You know, in the Sulh of Hudaybiyah, the Hudaybiyah peace treaty signed, when the Prophet ﷺ was going for Umrah and the mushriks stopped him. They stopped him, and he decided, because the outcome of the negotiation, that Muslims should not go to Umrah this year. So they have now to remove their ihram. They have to remove their ihram, there is no way. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said to the Sahaba, remove your ihram. The Sahaba were reluctant. They didn't listen, they were reluctant. So the Prophet ﷺ got very angry. And he went to his tent and he said to Salama, woe to the Muslims. The Muslims will be perished. Woe to them. I told them to remove their ihram and they didn't. Salama, he said, don't blame them, O Prophet of Allah. I know, she said, I know what they are going through. They are very upset, annoyed, because they were wishing that they will go to Mecca and the mushriks stopped them. So it's very hard for them. Something unbelievable happened. So what you should do, O Prophet of Allah? Who's saying this? Salama. What you should do, don't talk to them. Go and call the barber, the one who's going to shave your hair, and start shaving your hair and leave them. Now the Sahaba, when they were reluctant, were they disobeying the Prophet ﷺ and rejecting his command? No. But the Sahaba, they were wishing and hoping, oh Allah, send wahi. Send wahi to the Prophet, telling him, go against the will of the mushriks. That they were praying for that until the last minute. But now the Prophet ﷺ started shaving his hair, so there is no chance for wahi to come. So they started shaving each other. The narration says they were killing each other. Everyone is grabbing the head of the other. Come, you are the one. Okay. So here the Prophet ﷺ, when his wife told him, do this, he said, this is a good idea. Okay. So not everything that comes from the side of the woman is should be rejected. So we referred this matter, the Shaykh said, we referred the matter to that which Allah sent His Messenger ﷺ with. So when we checked the belief of this deviant group that they say Iman is only utterance and what? And conviction in the heart. That's it. So, and they throw away the acts and the actions of the limbs. He said, we referred the matter, this issue, to that which Allah sent His Messenger ﷺ with and revealed in His book and the Quran. So we found that He made the commencement of faith to be the testimony. The beginning of the Iman is what? The Shahada. Now a new revert. He comes here and he says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. That's the beginning of the Iman, not the end. He just entered through the door. That's the commencement. That's the beginning of the Iman. To be the testimony that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah, and that Muhammad is His Messenger ﷺ. So this is the key. The Shahada is not the whole Iman, but that's the beginning of it. Are you following? But if this person, the revert, after saying the Shahada, he died, where will he go? Jannah. Straightforward. Why? Because all his sins, first of all, are washed. This is a credit. This is the privilege given to the revert. All his sins he committed in the past are washed. The moment he says the Shahada, all his black record is washed away. So he's now just born again. Just like the day that his mother delivered him. No sin at all. If he dies immediately, to the Jannah. Who says that? The Prophet ﷺ. Amr ibn al-As came to the Prophet ﷺ to become a Muslim. And then he stretched his hand to shake hand with the Prophet ﷺ, and then he pulled his hand. He said, why did you pull your hand? He said, I want to make a condition. Ashtarat. He want to make a condition. He said, what is the condition? He said, I will become a Muslim on one condition, that all my sins in the past are forgiven. Because he fought the Prophet ﷺ, you know that. So this is my condition. The Prophet ﷺ told him, O Amr, أما علمت أن الإسلام يجب ما قبله. O Amr, didn't you know that Islam washes away and wipes the sin that perpetrated or committed prior to Islam? Didn't you know this? So Islam washes all the sins a person committed in the past. Okay, how about the good things that he did in the past? The kuffar, they do good things, don't they? They do. But because of the kufr, the disbelief, that will spoil everything. All the good deeds that they did in this life, they are filthy rags. They are in vain. They will not be accepted. Why they will not be accepted? Because of the disbelief, because of the kufr, because of the blasphemy. That will nullify everything. But if this person who was doing good things before Islam, and then he became a Muslim, all the good things he made and gained before Islam, okay, they will be added also to his record. And the bad deeds will be wiped away. The bad deeds, the evil deeds will be washed. And the good deeds will be added to his record. But the kafir, or the non-believer, who did good deeds and then died, he will go to hell. And all these good deeds which he committed will not benefit him, will not bring him anything. Aisha, she asked the Prophet ﷺ about a man in the Jahiliyyah. His name is Ibn Jad'an. Ibn Jad'an was a generous man. He had massive pots cooking for the people, wayfarers, travelers. Those pots are so massive that they had ladders. The people will go by the ladders into the pot. And throughout the year they are on the fire, feeding the people. So Aisha said, O Prophet of Allah, did that help Ibn Jad'an? He said, no. Because he didn't one day say, oh my Lord, forgive me my sins. Never. So, because some Muslims, they say, you know, Mother Teresa, she was doing good deeds, you know. So she was helping the poor, etc. So maybe she'll go to the Jannah. You with her, you will go to heaven. If you think Mother Teresa will go to heaven, then you'll be with her in hell. Yes. This should be clear to every Muslim. You should know the violations of Islam. You know the violations of Islam. You know the nullifiers of faith. The things that will take you out of Islam. One of them, if you doubt the disbelief of the disbelievers. If you think Jews, Christians, Hindu, pagans, Buddhists, if you think that they go to heaven, then you are out of Islam. Why? Because Allah said they are going to hell. So when you are saying they are going to heaven, then you are saying the opposite of what Allah said. Where did Allah say so? Allah said in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَةٍ. Verily those who say God is Trinity, they are disbelievers. They have disbelieved. لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ. Verily they have disbelieved. Those who say Jesus Christ, the Son of Mary, is Allah, is God Almighty. Who says that? Christians. Our Lord Jesus Christ. So Allah says they are disbelievers. They are kuffar. And yet you find some Muslims, if you tell them the Christians are disbelievers, they go to hell, say, I don't know. Or maybe he'll tell you are takfiri. What is this? There is ignorance among the Muslims. The same thing about the Jews. Allah said, وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ عُزَيْرُ بْنُ اللَّهِ. The Jews say Ezra is the son of God. وَقَالَتِ النَّصَارَى الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ اللَّهِ. And the Christians say Jesus Christ is the son of God. No difference between the Jews and the Christians. Hindus, what they say? God is in everything. God is in the toilet, God is in this bottle, God in the table is gold, everything is God. That's the belief of the Hindus. They call them pantheists. Pantheist is a person who thinks God is in everything. Everything is God. The same thing the Buddhists. There's no one on earth who worships Allah except the Muslims. No one. Name. You will not find anyone on earth worships Allah except the Muslims. That's why they are the target, and all of them against them. So the one who says now the Shahada, he becomes a Muslim. But then it's not enough. We have to ask him other things to do. Because many people, when one says the Shahada, that's it. They don't teach him the Salah. The one who said the Shahada yesterday, brothers, there should be a follow-up, okay? In the masjid there. I think the brother there, he saw them. No, okay. No one is there from the masjid, huh? He's here. A brother who said the Shahada, revert, alhamdulillah. So there should be a follow-up. Anyone who comes and becomes a Muslim, we need to follow him. Teach him the Salah. Teach him the basics of Islam. And tell him to come to the masjid and follow him. Until you feel that now he can stand in solid ground. Then you say, okay. Not that he said the kalima and that's it. Many people, they go back. They go back to the kufr after saying the Shahada. So you need the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith, which is in Bukhari and Muslim, when he sent Waaz to Yemen. He told him, I'm sending you to the people of the book in Yemen. So prepare yourself for them. Okay, so should be equipped. That's always the da'iyah should be like that. You don't go to the people and you underestimate them. You say they know nothing. And then they fire you with questions. Okay? And then they spin your head. Okay? And you say, you don't know what to do. No. Always, when you go to the battlefield, you have to be ready for the fight. Well equipped. So and that's why he chose Mu'adh. Why Mu'adh? Why not Khalid ibn al-Walid? Because Khalid ibn al-Walid, that is not his business, the da'wah. Da'wah is an art, and it is intellectual deed and work. Khalid knows chopping heads. Yes, his work is good in that. In jihad, Khalid, sword. He's the sword of Allah. That's Khalid. Okay? And the Prophet ﷺ, he's the one who called him the sword of Allah. And Khalid, I'll tell you by the way, in one of the battles with the Romans, the commander of the Romans came and he said, I want to meet your commander. Because there are rumors around that he is the sword of God. So they thought that this sword which he holds came from God Almighty. That's why he defeats everyone. So he said, Khalid, I know you're a Muslim, and the Muslim will never lie. Tell me the truth. Is it true that you got a sword from God Almighty? He said, no. But our Prophet called me the sword of God. He said, so why are you fighting us? He said, we heard that your bloods are very sweet, and we are thirsty to drink your bloods. He told him, if one wants to become like you, what should he do? He said he has to say the Shahada, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, then he becomes like us. He said, that's it. He said, yes. He said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. And he joined Khalid, and now he's fighting the Romans. And he died as Shaheed. SubhanAllah. This is tawfiq from Allah. How his life was ended. So he chose the Prophet ﷺ, Mu'adh. Why Mu'adh? The Prophet ﷺ said, أعلمكم بالحلال والحرام معاذ بن جبل. The most knowledgeable one among the Sahaba regarding halal and haram is Mu'adh. So Mu'adh is a scholar. The Prophet ﷺ said, Mu'adh يقدم العلماء يوم القيامة برتوى. Which means Mu'adh leads the scholar. He's the head of the scholars, and the delegation of the scholars are behind him. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he wants to send someone for the da'wah, he would choose the most qualified one, not the ignorant one. So he sent Mu'adh to Yemen. What did he tell Mu'adh? Oh Mu'adh, when you arrive in Yemen, the first thing that he sorted out the priorities for him. He sorted out what? The priorities of the da'wah. He told him, the first thing that you should call the people to is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. The kalima. Which is logic, very logic. How you come to a person who doesn't believe and tell him pray? Doesn't work. A person, for instance, he believes, but he doesn't pray. And at the same time, he's wearing a golden ring. Should I come to him and say, haram, the golden ring? He knows it's haram. I will not mention the golden ring. I'll tell him pay, first of all. Every Muslim knows that it is haram. Every Muslim knows riba is haram. But yet they do it. Why? Because their iman is so weak. So weak, the iman. So if you want him to leave doing the haram, strengthen his iman, then he will throw out the golden ring and leave the haram when the iman is picking up, increasing. For instance, now you tell your wife, television is haram, I have to remove it. You tell her, if you remove it, remove me as well. Okay? That means if the television is taken away, I will go to my family, divorce me. This is my best friend. I can't live without the telly. And you might go to a sheikh who's fanatic sheikh. They tell you divorce her. And you divorce your wife. And she leaves a bunch of children behind. and this one is crying, and this one wants someone to change the diaper, and this one, and you go crazy. Because she left everything and she went to her family. So what should you do? Television is evil, no doubt. And also divorcing her is another evil. So what you should do, change the strategy, the tactic. Work on her iman, strengthen her iman. Take her for Umrah to Mecca and stay in nice hotel, like, intercontinental. You have intercontinental Mecca, but they call it Tawheed. Because intercontinental, or the Sheraton or Hilton. Stay there a few days with her, only you and her, and her iman will pick up, will increase. And when you are seeing that the tears are rolling on her cheeks, say, "Oh, mother of so and so." He says, "Yes, my darling, yes, my husband. What do you want?" Say, "I want a small request." So what is it? It is granted, man. What is it? Say, "That little devil will remove. That shaitan at home." Said, "Of course, why not? I will remove it by my own hand. I will smash it." You realize. See, what happened? Why now she is ready? Tell me. Iman. Our problem, brothers and sisters, is lack of Iman. Lack of Iman. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said to Mu'adh, the first thing you call the people of Yemen, they were Jews and Christians, is to accept Islam, to the kalima. In one of the narrations, and yuwahhidullah, to believe in the oneness of God Almighty. Don't we are in the course of da'wah here with the Christians, never talk about secondary issues. They might say, "Well, your Prophet married more than 4." I say, that will come later to it. I will not let you consume my time. I will concentrate with the issue of the Tawheed. That's the most important thing. The oneness of God Almighty. Once he accepts the concept of Tawheed, everything will just come naturally. He will accept. So you have to shake his faith. You have to shake the doctrine that he has. The Holy Trinity. Destroy it. And call him to the oneness and the belief in the oneness of Allah, the God Almighty. Once he accepts that, then everything will come by default. Then he said, if they, the people of Yemen, accept from you the Tawheed, the belief in the oneness of God, then move the second step, the Salah. Not to call them to the prayer when they don't believe. What's the use? If someone prays and he doesn't believe in the oneness of Allah, will Allah accept his prayer? No. No. So now he accepted the Tawheed, then you move the second step, and that is the Salah. And if they accept the Salah, then move further, the Zakah, and tell them that Allah imposed upon them a charity or Zakah to be taken from the rich and given to the poor in the same land. In the same land we take from the rich and give the poor. Only when we have surplus, then we move it to another place. So this person now, who became a Muslim through the Shahada, then we have to teach him other things, the Salah, the Siyam, the Zakah, and we go step by step. Because there is a problem here, which is some brothers or some people, when one becomes a Muslim, they want him to learn Islam overnight. They teach him everything. So the guy finds it, he feels it's too much for him to comprehend. No, we take it slowly, step by step. For instance, he just few hours became a Muslim. Now they will come, have you circumcised? Yes, true or not? He says no. He said, then your salah is invalid. Who said so? Yes, they are saying anything. They don't know that Ibrahim alayhi salam, he got himself circumcised at the age of 70. So was the salah of Ibrahim invalid? 70 years. At that age he circumcised himself. He's the one who circumcised himself. With what? Not with the blade, with the axe. With the axe. So, when a person becomes a Muslim, we'll not mention the circumcision for him. He'll be afraid. Maybe he will leave Islam. Oh, later on, his salah is correct. His life with his wife is correct. Nothing he's doing haram. Then after that, of course it is fard, it should be done. But we wait until the iman is what? It is strong. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, I love Islam. I like it. But I have a weakness. I can't get rid of it. Don't worry. Just become a Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ told him that. Just become a Muslim. Then that weakness you will be able to overcome it and get rid of it. This is what the Prophet ﷺ said. Imagine now a non-Muslim came and said, I want to become a Muslim, but I have a problem. I can't leave alcohol. Say no. There's no way. Right? There's no way. You have to leave alcohol. Otherwise there is no Islam. And the Prophet ﷺ is saying the opposite to the man. He said, just become a Muslim and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, when you taste the iman and the sweetness of iman, then you will be by yourself, you will leave the haram. But when we don't know, that's why the da'wah is an art, and we don't know the deen, we will make such mistakes and turn people away from Allah's deen. Imagine that I say, okay, you are alcoholic, okay, no problem, become a Muslim. You can carry on drinking your alcohol, but just become a Muslim. And he died after that. Which is better for him? To die as a Muslim, alcoholic Muslim, or to die as a Christian alcoholic? Tell me. Of course. Of course. So here the author, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, so we found that he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, made the commencement of the iman to be the testimony. That's the beginning of it. And the testimony that no one, no God should be worshipped, worthy of being worshipped except Allah, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his messenger. What time is the Maghrib? Okay. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam remained in Mecca. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam remained in Mecca after his prophethood for 10 years. 10 years in Mecca. Or 10 odd years, calling to this testification. In Mecca, he was calling to the Tawheed. No Siyam, no Zakah. Okay? Only to the Tawheed. Most of these ordinances and teachings revealed in Medina. Revealed where? In Medina. So the Prophet ﷺ was laying the foundation in Mecca. And at that time nothing else was prescribed to be part of faith except the Tawheed. And one of the main characteristics of the Meccan surahs, you know the Quran, Madani surahs and Meccan surahs. The Meccan surahs are the surahs that were revealed before Hijrah. And the Madani surahs are the ones that revealed after the Hijrah. So this is the criteria. So the one who responded to this call in Mecca The one who responded to this call in Mecca was a mu'min. True or not? Was a believer. And it was not necessary to call him anything else but a believer. Because he accepted what the Prophet ﷺ offered him. And what the Prophet ﷺ called him to believe in. And zakah, or fasting, or the other regulations of the religion were not obligatory upon him. Because they were not prescribed yet. Right? They were not imposed yet. The scholars have explained this by saying that this leniency, there was a leniency, and there was a tolerance and flexibility, at that time was a mercy and kindness from Allah to His servants. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the people step by steps. They were pagans, they were idol worshippers, they were alcoholic. Okay? All the bad things they were doing, the Arabs before Islam. So Allah took them step by step, gradually, to remove them from that pit of sinfulness. The scholars have explained by saying that this leniency at that time was a mercy and kindness from Allah to His servants. Aisha said, the early verses and ayat that came down, they were ayat which they were softening the heart. Ayat to soften the heart. Not ayat about the khamr, halal, haram. No. This happened in Medina. Had Allah revealed in the beginning, don't drink alcohol, Aisha said people would not leave it. But now, when they are in Medina, they are ready for everything. Leave alcohol, leave alcohol. Tell the women to cover themselves, cover themselves. They are ready now to accept everything. Because they had just come out of the Jahiliyyah and its harshness, and He had charged them with all of the obligations. Then their hearts would have become averse to the revelation, and their bodies would have felt burdened. What does this mean? If Allah is the wise, had Allah told them, don't do this, don't do that, that would be too much for them. And that might be a reason for them not to accept Islam. But nothing of that like that was there. Only verses calling them to the belief in the oneness of God. Verses that increase the piety and the fear of God Almighty in their hearts. And this we should learn something here for us in the da'wah. For a new revert, we teach him the basics of the deen, and then we teach him things that will soften his heart. You know, people in the West actually, they are materialistic, and their life is very material, and they have a problem with the spirit. They have a spiritual vacuum in their hearts. Okay? So when this person comes, that vacuum has to be filled. So we have to elevate his spiritual level through the raqaiq, the things that softens the heart, not to start giving intellectual things or try to take him straight forward to the aqidah issues, asma and sifat and this and no. That's wrong approach. First of all, things that will elevate the iman, will make him love Allah, things that will make him love the salah, things that will make him love the fast, to do good deeds. That's why many of the reverts, they become Sufis. You know this. And you find many of them, they are following the Sheikh Nazim. You know Sheikh Nazim? Don't know? Okay. He's one of the leaders of the Sufis in the world. Naqshbandi. Many Sufi in the world, Sufi order. You find many of the people reverts who became Muslims, they followed them. Why? Because the Sufis, they try to fill that spiritual vacuum which they lack. Of course they fill it with something wrong by singing and dancing. Okay? Just, like in the church, hallelujah, hallelujah, jumping up and down. Oh, the Spirit is going through me, you know that. So they find the same thing there in the Sufis. They will be dancing, jumping up and down, and they will feel something that is filling their spiritual vacuum. Because when they came to those who are upon the right track, they started feeding them stuff which is something above their heads. Or they found them, they are talking about each other. Imagine a revert become a Muslim. Second day he has to know jarh and ta'deel. This is defiant. So what is this? The Muslims are not one hand. And you'll find the Muslim, don't go with that group, don't go with that group. So what is going on? Okay? He will find things that will put him off. And this is a sickness among us, the Muslims. So see the wisdom of Allah, how He changed the lives of the mushriks. First of all, softening their hearts and planting the seed of the Iman in their hearts. So He made the faith that was obligatory upon them at that time affirmation, only to believe in the oneness of God. Affirmation with the tongues only, and this was made, and this is what made them to be believers during the whole of the Meccan period. Just they say the kalima and that's it. No other obligations. And odd months in Medina after the Hijrah. The other things were, and also in early days of Makkah, Madani period, even after the migration, the situation remained the same. Then other obligations started coming one by one. Then when the people had returned to Islam and their desire for it became good and proper, Allah increased for them in their faith that they changed the prayer direction to the Kaaba after they had been praying to Bayt al-Maqdis. In Medina, the Salah. So they started praying Salah, and Allah told them, pray towards Bayt al-Maqdis. Bayt al-Maqdis. That is in the beginning. Then that was abrogated and they were told to face the Kaaba. We stop at this point, inshallah, and we open floor for questions, or if there are misconceptions or misunderstanding, and we'll continue. Continue? After Salah? Anyway, we'll see if you are ready. Otherwise, we'll stop at this point. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala wa man ittaba'a hudahu ila yawm ad-din. Amma ba'd. Those who have the handouts, it's page number 6, the last paragraph. We stopped last time at that point. Oh yes, sorry. Okay. Anyway, maybe they should start searching then. Okay, can I locate it here? It's page number 3, the second paragraph. It says, then when the people had returned to Islam and their desire for it became good and proper, Allah increased for them in their faith that they changed the prayer direction to the Kaaba after they had been praying to Bayt al-Maqdis. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He revealed the injunctions and most of the ordinances or the obligations in Medina, when in Mecca there were only emphasis upon the establishment of the Tawheed in the heart founding the Tawheed in their heart, when they migrated to Medina, there Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started revealing the instructions and the commandments gradually. There in Medina, now the foundation has been laid in Mecca. Now they are ready to implement whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands them to do. And they were praying in Medina towards Jerusalem, Bayt al-Maqdis. So they were commanded to face Bayt al-Maqdis through the Sunnah of Prophet ﷺ. And then they were told to change the direction by the Quran. So the Muslims prayed facing Jerusalem for a while. Then they were commanded to face Bayt al-Haram, Mecca. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is one of the miraculous aspects of the Quran, that this Quran is from Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها. What does it mean? Allah says, O Muhammad, to the Muslims, that now I want you to face Mecca, and the fools are going to come and say and object why you change the direction of your prayers. The fools are going to come. And this was revealed, this ayah, and the Muslims are reading it. The fools will say this, the fools will say this. And the fools heard it, and the fools came. Had this Quran not been revealed from Allah, the fools, they would have said, or they would have at least among themselves decide not to say anything. Let us prove Muhammad right, right? This is a chance. We'll prove him wrong, will not say anything. And then we'll ask him, who are the fools that your book is talking about? But that didn't happen. They came and they say, why did you change the direction of your prayer? So you are the fools that our Lord told us about. This is one of the miracles of the Quran. It's very clear. Because the Quran said, sayaqul. This scene in the Arabic language means will or shall in the future. That they are going to come and say this. So the Quran told the Prophet ﷺ what they are going to say. And they came and they said that. Is this clear to you? Just like the same thing when the Quran said that Abu Lahab will never believe. Tabbat yada Abi Lahab wa tab. Had this Quran not been from Allah, Abu Lahab could have come and said, O Muhammad, I believe in you. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. I believe that there is no God being worthy of worship but Allah, and you are the messenger of Allah. That will put the end to the message of the Prophet, right? But he didn't do that. Because the one who revealed the book knew that he would never think about this, and that he would die upon the disbelief. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet ﷺ, when he was praying facing Jerusalem, he was always looking up, turning his face to the sky, craving to face Mecca, want to face Mecca, to pray towards the Kaaba. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قَدْ نَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ فَلَنُوَلِّيَنَّكَ قِبْلَةً تَرْضَاهَا فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ وَحَيْثُمَا كُنْتُمْ فَوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ شَطْرَهُ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, verily we have seen the turning of your face towards the heaven. Why towards the heaven? Because Allah is in heaven. Okay. Towards the heaven. Surely we shall give you a qibla that you are pleased with. So turn your face in the direction of the holy mosque, Makkah. And wheresoever you people are, turn your faces in prayer in that direction. And now Muslims from all over the globe, they face Makkah. They turn their faces towards the Kaaba. So they were praying towards Jerusalem, then they were told to face the Kaaba, and they started praying. Now the question, many of the Muslims died while praying towards Jerusalem. So the companion asked the Prophet ﷺ, how about the prayers of our brothers? So Allah assured them that their prayers will not be wasted. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and of course regarding the Qibla, a Muslim should pray towards the Qibla, the Kaaba, when it is possible. If it is impossible, like when you are in the airplane, it's impossible on board, or in a ship, maybe it's not possible because the ship will be moving and changing direction. If it is possible in the beginning to face the Kaaba, that would be better. Sometimes it's not even possible to do that. So then you pray in any direction. For instance, you are on board of airplane, you just pray in your seat. The same thing in the ship. But when you are in land, you should try to locate and figure out where is the direction of the Kaaba. You try your best. You try your best, and now alhamdulillah there are many instruments and tools help you to know the direction. But let's say that after you tried your best, you prayed, but then you found out that you didn't pray towards the Kaaba. Your prayer is correct and no need to repeat it, if you tried your best. Let's say that I came and I found a person who is praying not towards the Kaaba, the Qibla. Let's say he is in the wrong direction. I can't talk to him and say, turn 90 degrees, or turn to the right, or turn to the left. Or I can go and turn him physically. Okay? Because the Sahabi who prayed the Asr with the Prophet ﷺ facing Makkah, and then he passed by the Muslims praying in Quba, and they were facing Jerusalem. He talked to them and he said, by Allah, I prayed with the Prophet ﷺ facing Makkah. So the Imam turned and all the congregation followed him in the Salah. Okay? And this hadith is an evidence, refutes the opinion of those who say the hadith of one person cannot be accepted. What they call it ahad. Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, two types, mutawatir and ahad. The mutawatir, when a group of the companions report from the Prophet ﷺ, then a group of the tabi'een also report from the companions, and a group of the, so in every level, a group. And of course this group maybe varies from 1 to 10. So for instance 10 of the Sahaba, 10 of the Tabi'een. Because you see the isnad begins like this. Are you following? The isnad begins with the Prophet ﷺ. Then next to the Prophet is the Sahabi, then the Tabi'i, etc. So group of the companions, group of the Tabi'een. So if the hadith has reached us through many companions reported it, many Tabi'een reported it, this is, we call it mutawatir. And if it is not mutawatir, then it is ahad. And ahad has many types. Okay? It has many types. If we have the Aziz and we have the Gharib and we have the Mashhur, all these types of Ahad. The Gharib is when one narrator only reports the Hadith. For instance, the Hadith, are you following, brothers? Okay? The Hadith that says إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. This hadith, which deeds will be judged according to intentions. This hadith is gharib. Is what? Gharib. Gharib means only one companion narrated this or reported this hadith. This hadith, none of the Sahaba reported it except Umar ibn al-Khattab. Except Umar ibn al-Khattab. And this hadith is sahih, though it is gharib. So the hadith, whether it is mutawatir or it is ahad, when it is authentic, we accept it and we believe in whatever that hadith commands us and conveys to us. For instance, the Prophet ﷺ, when he sent people for da'wah, he sent only once. He sent Mus'ab ibn Umayr to Medina to call the people of Medina to Islam. And the people of Medina, they didn't say, well, we'll not accept Islam because you are one. No. After 1 year, he came to Makkah, Mus'ab ibn Umayr, and he gave annual report to the Prophet ﷺ. And he said, there is no single household in Medina without a Muslim member. No house without a Muslim member in that house. That's the first ambassador for Islam was Mus'ab ibn Umayr. The Prophet ﷺ sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen, and he was one. Okay, calling them to Islam. So this bid'ah, which is invented, that if the hadith is not mutawatir, it is ahad, we don't accept it. This bid'ah or innovation has been invented by the Mu'tazila. Okay? And it's baseless. If we reject the ahadith that are ahad, then 90 or more than 90% of Islam should be discarded. Because the ahadith which are mutawatir are very, very few. And the majority of the ahadith, they are what? Ahad. And this bid'ah now you'll see Hizb al-Tahrir. Okay? Hizb al-Tahrir, they are the ones also who hold this belief. They said this hadith is ahad, we don't accept. Because actually they are a modified version of the Mu'tazila in certain areas in the Aqidah. Then they addressed them when they were in Medina by the appellation of faith, by the title of faith, Ya ayyuhal ladina amanu. Allah addressed them by the title, O you who possess, O you who believe. That had previously been given them whenever He ordered them with something or forbade them from something. So He said while commanding, Ya ayyuhal ladina amanu irka'u wasjudu. So He is addressing them by the title of Iman. And this is very, very important. The title of Iman. Whenever you hear that Allah is saying, Ya ayyuhal ladina amanu, He is addressing the mu'mineen. And these commandments are given to the mu'mineen, to the believers. Because now you are ready to accept whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks you to do. You will not find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressing the disbelievers by this title. He would address them, O mankind, O son of man, etc. This title will be only given to the believers, those who believed in Allah, which is very logical. Once you believe, then you are ready to pray, you are ready to fast, you are ready to carry out. Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam. Or you believe, fasting has been prescribed for you. So Allah addressed the believers by the title of the Iman. Because you have believed in me, now I am telling you to do this. That's why Ibn Mas'ud said, whenever you hear this, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, give it your ear. Lend it your ear. Listen attentively. Because either Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to tell you to do something, or He's going to warn you against something, or He is going to tell you about the Jannah, whatever. So always when you hear this title, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, listen attentively. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu irka'u wasjudu. O you who believe, bow and prostrate. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the people in Medina by this title. Then Allah Azza wa Jal also said, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق. O you who believe, when you intend to offer the salah, prayer, wash your faces and your arms up to the elbows. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the believers. This is what you should do when you want to get up for the salah. You wash your faces, and the face, you know the face starts from here to here, okay, from the top of the forehead till the bottom of the chin, and from the earlobe to the earlobe. So this is the face. You wash your face. فَاغْسُلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ, and your hands to the elbows. وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ. And here, though it is not part of the Kitab al-Iman, there is a fiqh issue. There is a fiqh issue between the scholars, because ila al-marafiq, sometimes the end will be included, sometimes the end will not be, it will be excluded. So you find some of the jurists or some of the scholars, they say up to the elbows. That means the elbows are not included. And some they say the elbows are included. Those who said the elbows are not included, they said because this ila, sometimes it depends on the context. So they said here it's not included, just it is like where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل, ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل, then complete the fast till the night. Is the night included? It's not included. So up to the night, when the sun sets, finish, break your fast. So the night is not included. إلى الليل, night is not included. So they said this is like that. So the elbows are not included. The other said no, the elbows are included. This is just ila here, like where Allah said سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى. All praise is due to Allah, who took his slave on the night journey from the sacred mosque in Mecca to the sacred mosque in Jerusalem. To there, the masjid included or excluded? Included. He prayed inside the masjid. So now there are two opinions. So how to judge? Is this ila means the elbows included or excluded? So in order to know this, we have to refer to the Sunnah and see the practice of the Prophet ﷺ. And when we refer to the Sunnah, we found that the Prophet ﷺ was washing the elbows, and he was turning the water over the elbows. So he was washing them. So the meaning of ila al-marafiq, just like ila al-masjid al-haram, ila al-masjid al-aqsa, which means the elbows are included. Okay? Alright. فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. There the Shia came. They say, well, the Quran says وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم. So أرجلكم here, okay, you see fatha there. Okay, that means they say the feet should be wipe. Just like فَامْسَحُوا رُؤُوسَكُمْ فَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ. In this reading, in this mode of reading, or type of reading, وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ. But there is another way, وَأَرْجُلِكُمْ. One of the modes of recitation, one of the qira'at. You know, there are 10 ways of qira'ah. That the Prophet ﷺ read the Quran, and Jibreel read the Quran in different ways. And the reason to make it easy for the Arabs, because there were many dialects. So by reading the Quran in different ways, it made it easy for the Arabs to read the Quran. Because the Quran was revealed in the dialect of Quraysh. So the Shia said, Allah said, وَأَرْجُلِكُمْ. That means we just wipe over the feet. So Ahlul Sunnah said, no, though this mode or type of reading or reciting the Quran is accepted to us, but the meaning here, it is referring to wiping over the socks. That is an evidence for the wiping over the socks. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he never wiped over the bare feet, but he wiped over the socks. Anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said while prohibiting the believers. So the author here, brothers, is telling us, see how Allah started addressing the people by the title of Iman. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تأكلوا الربا أضعافا مضاعفة. This is revealed in Medina, addressing the people in Medina. He said while prohibiting them, O you who believe, do not devour the riba. We better stick to the word riba. Doubled and multiplied. Why we say we need to stick to the word riba? Because there are people who say riba is different from interest or different from the usury. Okay? So for instance, some they say usury is haram, but interest, which is, low rates, no problem. No. Riba, it covers both the interest and the usury. So that's haram. Whether it is 0.1 or 1 or 5%, it's haram. Okay? That's riba. And you are waging war, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fighting you. And you are in war with Allah. So, Muslims should not deal with riba, mortgage, whatever. Okay? Riba is a crime. It's a sin. Okay? It's a sin. The Prophet ﷺ said, 1 dirham from riba is worse than committing zina 37 times. 1 dirham only. To have 1 dirham, 1 pound of riba is worse than committing fornication or adultery 37 times. Okay? People here, they are living on riba. Cars on riba, houses riba, everything riba. And they think that is okay. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the believers. O you who believe, do not eat riba, double and multiplied. Some they say, if it is doubled and multiplied, then it is haram. If it is less than that, this is wrong understanding. The Quran, when he mentioned this, he mentioned the situation was existing. Doesn't mean that the Quran is saying, if it is not double, it is halal. No. For instance, the Quran said, الحر بالحر والعبد بالعبد. In the Quran says, when a free man kills the free man, then kill him. Or when a slave kills the slave, kill the slave. So some they misunderstood and they said, if a free man kills the slave, we don't kill the free man. Because Allah said, الحر بالحر والعبد بالعبد. a slave for a slave, a free man for a free man. No. The Quran, when in this ayah, is addressing an issue and a situation that was practiced at that time among the Arabs. The Arabs, for instance, if a free person who's not a slave from this tribe killed a slave from another tribe, what they will do? They will say, okay, we'll not accept a slave from your tribe. Okay, our slave, in our eyes, is more important than 10 of you. So they will go and kill maybe 1, 2, 3 from the other tribe. Or if a free man killed another free man, the other tribe will say, okay, we'll kill a slave instead of that man. They will negotiate and say, okay, we'll give you a slave, kill him instead of that man. So the Quran said, no. If a slave kills a slave, then that person should be killed. If a free man killed a free man, that man should be killed. And the Prophet ﷺ, he killed a man for a woman. A Jew came to a Muslim woman and he smashed her head between 2 rocks. They found her in last breath, dying. She couldn't talk, so they were only mentioning names to her. Who did this? So and so, so and so, so and so. When they mentioned the name of the Jew, she nodded and died. So they brought the Jew and he admitted. He said yes, he confessed. So the Prophet ﷺ told the Sahaba, go and kill him in the same way. Smash his head. Okay? So some they think if a man killed a woman, no, we don't kill the man. No. Because Allah said, Al-Hurru bil-Hurru wal-Nafsu bil-Nafs. A soul for another soul. Unless, of course, the one who killed, unless the killer is a Muslim and the one who was killed is a non-Muslim, then we don't kill the Muslim. We don't kill the Muslim. If a Muslim killed a non-Muslim, we don't kill the Muslim. That Muslim can be put in jail to number of years as the judge or the qadi sees it proper. But the punishment in Islam, if a Muslim kills a non-Muslim, will never reach the capital punishment, based on the saying of the Prophet ﷺ, لا يقتل المسلم بالكافر, that a Muslim cannot be killed in exchange of a disbeliever. Okay. Also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O you who believe, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقتلوا الصيد وأنتم حرم. Also here Allah again is addressing the believers by this title. O you who believe, cannot kill not game while you are in state of ihram. When you are in state of ihram, going to Hajj or Umrah, and you saw the deer or saw the rabbit or you see birds, you are not allowed to kill anything. You are in peace with everything. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested also the companions through this. But the companions, they passed the test. The deer, they were coming to them and they were within reach. But the Sahaba, they didn't do anything to the deer. The Jews failed in the test, you know that. The Jews, when Allah tested them, they failed in the test. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested the Jews by bringing the fish to the shore on Saturday. And they are not allowed to catch fish on Saturday because that is the Sabbath. So they couldn't resist the temptation. So they thought of inventing a trick. So what the Jews did, they dig trenches, canals, and they put gates for the canals. So the fish entered into the canals and then they closed. And they didn't catch the fish on Saturday, they caught it on Sunday. The Jews, they did this with Allah. Okay? They failed in the test, but the Sahaba passed successfully when Allah told them, don't touch the game when you are in a state of ihram. So, in every address that was directed, the Imam, he mentioned the ayat, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the Muslims by the title of Iman. So he says, in every address that was directed to them after the hijrah containing a command or prohibition, every instruction came either contains a command, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them do this or don't do that. Tahreem. Okay? Because you know the 5 rules. You remember the 5 rules? We mentioned them yesterday. What are the 5 rules of Sharia? The 5 rules of Sharia, all the rules of Sharia are only 5. Haram, haram, I want you to group them like this. Haram, makruh. Fard, sunnah, halal. Haram, makruh. Fard, sunnah, halal. Okay? These are the whole rules in the Islam, Sharia. When Allah is telling you to do something, that thing, when He is telling you to do it, it's either fard or sunnah. Are you following? When Allah asks you to do something, that thing, it's either fard or sunnah. When Allah is telling you not to do that, it's either haram or makruh. So now how many rules? When Allah is telling you do that, it's either fard, obligatory, or recommended. Fard, obligatory. Sunnah, recommended. When Allah tells you not to do it, it's either prohibited or disliked. And the fifth rule is that the permissible, the halal. When you do it, no sin. If you don't do it, also no sin. For instance, to take your dinner. If you don't take your dinner, will you be questionable? Will you be accountable? Will Allah ask you why you didn't take dinner? No. Okay? Because it is halal, mubah, permissible. So bear this in mind. So that's what I. So in every address that was directed to them after the hijrah containing a command or prohibition, He named them with this name, believers. Mu'minun, ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. Due to their affirming the shahada alone, since at that time nothing else had been made obligatory for them. So what the author is saying, though they deserve the title Iman, before Allah imposed the obligations, and still Allah, yet He addressed them with that title Iman. So what the author is trying to say here, to tell us here, he's saying they deserve the title Iman before Allah asked them to do other things. And then when He imposed these things, still they were holding the title of Iman, but now the obligations of the Iman started to increase. You didn't get this point. Allah is addressing them by the title Iman, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. And they were only asked to believe in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like in Makkah. Right? And then this title, they still have it. And then later on in Medina and later stages, Allah is still addressing them whenever He asks them to do something. So what is the difference? That this title Imam, they deserved it from day one, though there were no other obligations. And then this title starts to accommodate other things. Whenever he reveals something, it's added to the Imam. A new thing revealed, added to the Imam. So the Imam started to increase. Okay? So we cannot say to the person later on who wants to treat the people after Allah revealed these things like the people before they received that. For instance, he would say, if the people don't pray, don't fast, don't do this, still they are mu'mineen, because Allah called those mu'mineen before imposing anything upon them. So without the action they can still be mu'min. They say no, that before the imposition of the obligations. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala imposed the other obligations, that became part of the Iman, and no person is exempted from that. Are you following? Okay? That's what the author here is leading you to that point. So he said, he named them with this name, believers, due to their affirming the Shahada alone. Since at that time, when Allah addressed them by that title, nothing else had been made obligatory for them. So they are believers, no doubt. But afterwards, please concentrate. But afterwards, when the religious laws were revealed, now shara'i, the commandments are coming. Don't do this, don't do that. Do's and don'ts. Okay? Sharia is always do's and don'ts. That's the Sharia. See, the Sharia is don't and do. That's why the speech, this is something of the shelf, as they say. Okay? The Sharia, the speech, it's either, we have what we call two types. Okay? Insha and khabar in the Arabic language. Speech is divided into two types. Insha and khabar. Insha is the command. Do and don't do. The khabar, when Allah tells us about something, that's what the aqidah. The aqidah, the belief, falls under the khabar, because it is, Allah tells you that there is heaven, there is hell, there is angels, there is, okay? So that falls under the khabar, information. Allah is informing you. Whereas the Sharia falls under the insha, where Allah is asking you to establish something, to do something. And the abrogation, now I ask you this question. The abrogation, will it happen to the information, to the khabar, or to the insha? Insha. Always the abrogation is applied to the insha, not to the khabar. Because the insha is do and don't. That can be abrogated. The khabar, Allah is informing us. It is impossible that Allah told us something, then He abrogates it. He told us there are angels, then He comes, another prophet says, no, there are no angels. You understand? So, the insha will remain the same. And all the prophets, they convey to us the same belief. The oneness is the oneness in the khabar, in the aqidah, in the belief itself. There they are one. Though every prophet has his own law, his own sharia. So, you have, the speech is divided into khabar and insha. Khabar is information, insha is the commandments. Do and don'ts. Is this clear? Bear that in mind. So, that's why the Aqidah cannot be abrogated. Cannot be abrogated, cannot be cancelled. Because it doesn't fall under the commandments or under the command. It falls, or the law. It falls under the khabar, information, or the belief itself. But afterwards, when the religious laws were revealed, these were made obligatory upon them in exactly the same way as the first obligation of testifying to the Shahada. It is just like the Shahada. You accepted the Shahada, now you accept the fasting, now you accept the Salah. It is part of the Iman. It is inseparable. This because they were all from Allah, sent by His command and obligation. So you have to accept. And it is part of the Iman. It is part from the Iman. And you cannot say, well, this I can accept, this I will not accept. No, you accept it all. So if they had refused to turn to the direction of the Kaaba in their prayer and stuck to that faith they had in the beginning of Islam, Allah told them now face Mecca. If they refuse and they say no, we will stick to the old instruction, what you told us to face Jerusalem, whose appellation they were ascribed to, and they had stuck to the Qibla that they used to pray towards, then this would not have helped them at all. This would have rendered them or made them disbelievers. Right? Because now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has the right to cancel that obligation. He has the right to abrogate that instruction. Right? Because it falls under what? Insha. Allah is entitled to tell them no. Yes, I am the one who told you face Jerusalem. Now I'm telling you face Mecca. So you have to follow what I'm saying. If they say no, we will follow what you said before and not follow what you are saying now, this will not help them. Because they are servants and slaves of Allah. So whatever Allah says, you have to say, I hear and obey. That's why He said, then this would not have helped them at all. And they would have violated their affirmation of the Shahada. If they had they refused, that would have cancelled and negated the Iman. Why? Because they are not now listening to their Lord. Their Lord told them in the beginning, face Jerusalem. The same Lord now, the same Rabb is telling them, face Mecca. You are a servant, you are a slave. Wherever Allah tells you, you do. You have no choice. Beggars cannot be choosers, right? We have no choice. So we are the servants of Allah. He tells us do, turn right, turn left, we'll do that. Because we have accepted that He is our Lord. If now He tells us, after He told them, face Mecca, they refused, this will cancel the Iman. This will nullify the Iman. Will nullify it. Okay. Going to give an example. Iblis, when Allah told him, Iblis was with the angels. He was not an angel. You know, some Muslims, they under the impression that Iblis was the chief of the angels. This is not true. Iblis different from the angels, but he was with the angels when Allah commanded the angels to prostrate in front of Adam, and he refused. Right? Iblis refused, and he said, I am better than Adam, so I will not prostrate to Adam. So he rejected. and he turned away the commandments of Allah. Allah told him, prostrate, Iblis. He refused. Some might say, but we know the command in the Quran is not addressed to Iblis, it's addressed to the angels. Because Allah said, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِذْ كُنَّا مَلَائِكَةَ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ. So we told the angels. So Iblis was not mentioned. He's a poor fellow, you know. Why should he be punished? There are people who are defending Iblis, you know that. Yes, they are. So they are saying here, they are saying that Iblis, his name mentioned. No. So Allah is addressing the angels. Subhanallah. Iblis himself, this idea didn't cross his mind. Imagine, it only occurs in the minds of his students, human beings. But Iblis knew that when Allah told the angels prostrate, also he is included. He didn't object and say, oh Allah, you didn't command me. He didn't say that, you didn't command me. He knew that the command includes him. He knew that. He only objected that I am better than Adam. And he rejects the commandments of Allah, the command of Allah. And whoever rejects the command of Allah, in the same way Iblis rejected the command of Allah, then he will be with Iblis. That will make him kafir. Because Iblis disobeyed Allah, and his disobedience is different from the disobedience of Adam. Adam also disobeyed Allah, right? Allah told Adam alayhi salam, don't eat from this tree. And he ate from that tree. So he disobeyed Allah. Why Allah forgave Adam and he didn't forgive Iblis? The answer is simple. The disobedience of Adam happened due to what? Forgetfulness. Adam forgot. He forgot. He forgot that Allah warned him and told him not to touch the tree or eat from the tree. Number one. Number two, anyone had been in the position of Adam would have done the same thing as Adam did. Had you been any one of us in the position of Adam, he would have done the same thing. What do you mean? Iblis came to Adam and told him, أَلَا أَدُلُّكَ عَلَى شَجَرَةُ الْخُلْدِ وَمُلْكٌ لَا يَبْلَى. Do you want me to tell you a tree, when you eat from it, you'll have eternal life and eternal kingdom? A kingdom that will never last, will never perish, will never end. Adam was created and found himself in the Jannah, and no one around him. He doesn't know anything called a lie. He doesn't know lying. And if someone comes to you and you don't know anything that's called lie, and says you do this, it's nice, you will do it or not? You'll do it because you believe. You don't know anything. This concept of lying is not known to you. A child who's born, a toddler, who doesn't know anything, if you give him something that looks like the candy, even that thing is going to burn him, he will touch it. Right? He doesn't know. He's so pure. The same thing Adam, he doesn't know anything. And he forgot, and Iblis told him, if you eat from this tree, you will have eternal life. Okay? So he ate from it. And when he saw his nakedness, all these things, and Allah brought them down to earth, they turned to Allah, Adam and Eve, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted their tawbah, their repentance. And they confessed. Whereas Iblis, from day one, from the beginning, he said, how do you tell me to prostrate for Adam? Don't you know that I'm better than Adam? So Allah cursed him and said, go. My curse upon you till the last day. And the scholars, they said, if a person commits a sin out of ignorance or forgetfulness or human weakness, then his sin is like Adam. His sin is like the sin of his father, and it can be forgiven. If someone commits a sin out of arrogance, okay, and haughtiness, then his sin is like Iblis. For instance, this is water. We have two persons or two people drinking alcohol, both of them. We came to the first one and say, alcohol is haram, please leave it. Say, yes, I know it's haram. And I'm trying really, I'm struggling to leave it. So please, pray for me. Pray for me that I will leave this alcohol. I know it's haram, I know I am sinning, I know I am doing haram, I know if Allah doesn't forgive me, He will put me in hell. Just pray for me what to do. I am weak, I am addict. I need your prayers. We came to the second one and he said, come on man, you know this alcohol is just like water. There is no difference. Have a sip, man. Are they the same? Should they be treated on the day of judgment the same or differently? Differently. The first one, he admitted and he confessed that he is a sinner. And he is committing this sin out of weakness, as his father Adam alayhi salam. Whereas the other one, he is rejecting and he is denying that it is haram. So his sin is like Iblis. So the first one is a sinner. Listen, the first one is a sinner, and the second one is what? Kafir. Second one will say, this is like alcohol is like water, is what? He's kafir. He's not a Muslim. That one is a Muslim who's committing sin. The other one is a disbeliever, kafir. Because he's saying alcohol is not haram. If someone says alcohol is not haram, is he Muslim? He's saying the opposite. If he says, I know it is haram while I drink it and I want to leave it, he's not kafir, he's a Muslim. The same thing, if one comes and the things that Allah made, the things that Allah made haram, He made them halal. Things, for instance, alcohol is halal, fornication is halal, riba is halal, and He made laws, okay, laws that state these laws saying that this is halal, 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 halal. Is he a Muslim? Of course not. He should not be reluctant. He should not be reluctant. He is not a Muslim. Whoever turns the halal haram and the haram halal is not a Muslim at all. Because that is not the right of human beings. That's not the right of human beings. So, had they refused turning to the Qibla after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to them, then that would have nullified their faith and their iman. Why? He said this is because the first obedience was not more deserving of the appellation of faith than the second. There's no difference. There it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told you to face Jerusalem, and here He is the one who is telling you to face Jerusalem. So therefore, when they responded to Allah and His Messenger and accepted the obligation of the Salah, just as they had responded by affirming the Shahada, then all of this would now be included in the appellation of faith. Now this can be included in the definition of Iman. The Salah now is part of the Iman. It is part of the Iman. So you can see now, Iman started to what? To increase. In the beginning it was only what? Conviction. There. In the early days of Makkah, it was only the conviction in the heart. And then now started acts, Salah. Okay? So now the Iman started to increase. And the proof, what's the evidence that now the Salah is part of the Iman, is what Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِالنَّاسِ لَرَؤُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. And Allah would never make your faith to be lost. So Allah here in this ayah, truly Allah is full of kindness, the most merciful towards mankind. Allah in this ayah called Iman, the Salah, Iman. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ. Though here in this ayah, this was an answer to the question of the Sahaba. What will happen to the Salah of our brothers who died while praying to Jerusalem? So Allah gave the Sahaba the surety that don't worry, this Salah will not be lost. And He called the Salah what? In this ayah? Iman. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ. Allah called it Iman, because now it is part of the Iman. So Allah called it Iman. And Allah would never make your faith to be lost. Called it faith, call it Iman. Truly Allah is full of kindness and most merciful towards mankind. So this ayah was revealed concerning some of the companions of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who turned towards the Qibla while they were praying in the direction of Bayt al-Maqdis. So the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked about this, and then this ayah was revealed. So what proof is needed after this to show that the prayer is part of faith? So the Salah now is part of faith. And Salah is what? Action of limbs. So it's now, and Allah called it Iman. So it is part of the Iman. If it is part of the Iman, how then you try to detach it and remove it? And you say the Amal is not part of the Iman. The deviant sects known in the history of Islam, we call them the Murji'ah. They say the Amal is not part of the Iman, and the Amal is part of the Iman. Amal is the action, it's part of the Iman. You will not have Iman if you don't have Amal. If you don't pray, if you don't fast, if you don't do anything, then that will nullify the Iman, because these things became part of the Iman and they are becoming inseparable. Brothers, are you following? Or you are lost? Are you lost? Are you following? Okay. Alright. So they remained like this for a period of time. So the author is saying the people remained like this for a period of time. When they started going to prayer eagerly and their hearts found it easy, Allah revealed to the obligation of zakah in their faith. So the obligations were revealed gradually. The salah, and now the salah, they got used to the salah. And you know the salah was only 2 rak'ahs. You know that? Isha was 2 rak'ahs, Dhuhr 2 rak'ahs, Asr 2 rak'ahs. See the kindness of Allah. And you know that Allah imposed 50 prayers and then reduced them to 5 prayers. So when they get used to the salah and they started to like the salah, then the 2 rak'ahs were made for Dhuhr and Asr and Isha. Understand? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gradually imposed the obligations upon His servants. Then He said, Allah after that, when now they are ready to accept another obligation, He revealed the zakah. وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا. Now He is adding something else to the salah. Now they accepted the salah and they practiced the salah. He said, وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ. Establish the prayer and give the zakah. So now another element added to the iman. Are you following now? You can see the iman started to increase. Now they are ready to accept. First of all, only the shahada. Then the salah. Then now another thing is added to the salah, which is the zakah. And the zakah is one of the pillars of Islam. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he fought those who refused to give the zakah, and he killed them, and he took their wives as captives, all these things. And he said, by Allah, I will fight whoever differentiates between the salah and the zakah. When Umar ibn Khattab told him, oh Abu Bakr, didn't the Prophet ﷺ say I was sent to call the people to the belief in the oneness of Allah? If they do that, then their blood becomes sacred. Abu Bakr said, I will fight whoever differentiates between the salah and the zakah. Then Abu Umar said, when I saw that Abu Bakr has determined, I knew it is the truth. When I saw the determination of Abu Bakr, I knew this must be the truth. And you know, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, his iman is equal to the iman of the rest of the Muslims. All the ummah put them on one band of the scale and Abu Bakr on the other one. That is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. His iman equal the iman of the rest of the ummah, apart from the Prophet ﷺ. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, his nature, he is a kind person, very kind and very humble. But when the time comes, he becomes another person. You know that the Prophet ﷺ, when he fell sick and he told the army to go to fight the Romans, and he said the commander should be Zayd ibn Haritha. But then he fell sick. The army was on the outskirts of Medina, so the army waited to know the news, what happens to the Prophet. And the Prophet ﷺ died. When the Prophet ﷺ died, many of the Arabs left Islam. Many. So the Sahaba, they held a meeting and they said to Abu Bakr, please don't send the army, because you see that many tribes have left Islam and maybe now they will attack us. So leave the army to protect Medina. Abu Bakr said, impossible. This army the Prophet ﷺ sent to fight the Romans, it has to go. And I will fight all the Arabs by myself. This is the stance of Abu Bakr. I will not do something that the Prophet ﷺ said you should do. I will not do it. And he sent the army. The Romans, when they heard about the death of the Prophet ﷺ, they said, this is a golden chance for us, let us attack the Muslims. And they were shocked when they found that the Muslim army is coming to them. So they retreated. So the Muslim borders were secured. And then also he fought the Arab tribes and forced them to become Muslim again. That's Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. So the zakah is one of the pillars of Islam. And the one who doesn't give the zakah, he will be punished severely in the hellfire. And in Islam, if the one doesn't give the zakah, we take it by force. Not only the zakah will take by force, half his property. That's the rule in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ said, he who doesn't give the zakah, will take the zakah from him and half his property by force. This is the command of our Lord. So the next year he will come and give the zakah. And unfortunately many Muslims, they don't give the zakah. Then also Allah revealed, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا. Take sadaqah from their wealth in order to purify them and sanctify them with it. So this charity and the zakah, actually it purifies. It purifies your heart. It adds barakah, blessing to your wealth, to your property. Don't think that if you give out the zakah, you're going to lose. No. Allah will multiply your business. Your business will prosper. You will never go bankrupt. This is a promise. The Prophet ﷺ says, مَا نَقَصَ مَالٌ مِّن صَدَقَةٍ قَطْ. No property will be diminished and reduced because of due to the sadaqah. No. The more you spend, fi sabil Allah bless your business. And the more haram you put into the business, the less the barakah. Allah removes the blessing. If you are selling alcohol, if you are selling haram stuff, Allah will not bless your business. If you want Allah to bless your business, deal in the halal and give the zakah and see what Allah will do. Your business will boom. Okay? So when you give the zakah, actually the zakah itself, the word zakah means purification. To purify your soul. Why? Because the nature of man is greediness, right? Greediness is one of the inherent characteristics of man. Man by nature is greedy. He wants everything. So when you give this wealth, though you want it, so you are overcoming yourself. You are trying to get rid of that selfishness. So you are purifying the soul and you are purifying yourself. That's why it's called zakah. Also zakah means increment. So the amount of money that you gave out is going to cause your business or your wealth to increase. Though when you look to it from mathematical point of view, it comes down. Okay, 2.5%. So it apparently will reduce it, but the increment will come in another way which you don't feel it. You will start a new project and the margin will be mashallah. So see the compensation, it will come indirectly. And if you don't give the zakah, Allah will remove the barakah. You will fall sick. All that wealth you spend it on medicine. Okay? Or one of your children will give you a tough time. Every day he is in jail, every day he is committing a crime, and you are giving all your money to the lawyers. See how it's going? So you'll be in trouble. So that's how your wealth will be wasted. Also, then he said, so if they affirm the shahada, if they accept the shahada, so if they affirm the shahada with their tongues and establish the prayers, but they refuse to give the zakat, then this would have effaced and nullified all that came before this obligation and would have violated the reformation. If they say, okay, we affirm the shahada with their tongues and they also pray, but the zakah will not accept, will this keep them mu'min? Will this keep the iman? No. See, brothers, anything which is part from the deen, if you refuse it, I don't have here the siwak. Even if it is anything, even the siwak, you know siwak. If this siwak you don't accept and you don't think it is part of the deen, and you know it is part of the deen, then this will also take you out of Islam. Simple thing. A simple thing. The zakah. If you want the evidence, he's telling you. If you want the evidence that if one rejects the zakah and doesn't accept the zakah, this will violate his iman, is the stance of Abu Bakr. That he fought those who refused to give the zakah. Just as the Messenger of Allah ﷺ made jihad against the people of the shirk, in the same way Abu Bakr waged the jihad against those who do not give the zakah. There is no difference between these two jihads. The jihad against the mushriks and the jihad against those who do not give the zakah. With regards to shedding blood, taking children as captives. We take the children as captives. They are praying and they are fasting, but we take the children as captives, and the women as captives. Mulk Yameen. Imagine. This is clear. Why? Because they don't accept the zakah. Taking children as captives and taking the spoils of war, and all the Arabs did was to refuse to give the zakah, not reject its institution. Just because they didn't say we don't accept the zakah or reject the zakah as the concept of zakah. No, we know zakah is there, but we'll not give it to you. We used to give it to the Prophet ﷺ, and that's it. So they know it is a must. But they say, we'll not give it to you, we used to give it to the Prophet, that's it. So Abu Bakr said, no way. By Allah, if it was just aqala ba'ir, if it was just a small string to tie the camel with, they used to give it to the Prophet ﷺ, I will fight them for that. Whatever they used to give to the Prophet ﷺ, they should give to me. Then all the laws of Islam became like this. Each time the law was revealed, it became joined to the laws that had preceded. So, any new law added to the previous had become part of the Iman. Anything new added, and all of them were included under the name of Iman, faith. And those who followed them were named mu'mineen, believers. This is the place in which those who had held that Iman was merely saying, those who are saying that Iman is only the saying, they are erroneous, they are mistaken. Indeed, they have erred and committed a mistake. That when they heard Allah calling them believers, He's saying why they made that mistake. The Shaykh here is explaining why they made that mistake. What made them think that Iman is only the same? Because when they look to the previous ayat we mentioned, that Allah described the believers as mu'mins, though there were no obligations. You understand? He said Allah called them mu'min without obligations. So the same thing, if someone is only having the conviction in his heart and no other obligations, he is like them. And they forgot that Allah called them obligations prior to the imposition and the prescription of the obligations. Are you following? Allah called them because there were no obligations yet revealed. So the only thing was required from them is the conviction. So that's why he called them mu'mineen. But later on, they are obligated and obliged to do the whole thing in order to get that title, the iman. So I cannot apply the case, that particular or peculiar or special case, to a person later on, after Allah reveals the obligations. Are you following? So that is the error, and that's the mistake they made. So he said, they attributed complete faith to them, to those who don't do anything. They say their iman is perfect, without salah, without siyam, without anything, even after Allah prescribed salah and siyam. And that's wrong, of course, because you saw Abu Bakr as-Siddiq fought them. If the zakah is not part of iman, why should he fight them? If the salah was only something, accessory, if the zakah was accessory thing, it will not affect the iman. Why did Abu Bakr fight them? Why did he kill them? Why did he take the children as captives? Because that's part of the iman. And likewise, they made a mistake in their explanation of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when he was asked as to what faith was, to which he replied that you believe in Allah. They said, the Prophet ﷺ, when he was asked about the iman, he said they believe in Allah. So that's it. How about the rest of the hadith? You ignore them? There are many hadith that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the iman also in these hadith. And also their explanation of the hadith in which he ﷺ was asked by the one who had a believing slave girl about freeing her. So he ordered that she should be freed and be called a believer. This is a hadith in Sahih Muslim, that Muawiyah ibn al-Hakam al-Sulami, he had a slave girl, and she was a shepherd, and the wolf took one sheep. So he came and she told him, I slept or something happened and the wolf took one sheep. So he slapped her on her face. So he slapped her on her face, and then he came to the Prophet ﷺ and told him what he did. The Prophet ﷺ rebuked him, blamed him. So he wanted to expiate his sin. He said, what should I do? Should I set her free? He said, no, bring her. So they brought the slave girl to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ asked her two questions. The first question he asked her, where is Allah? Who asked the question? The Prophet ﷺ. This is in Sahih Muslim. He said, where is Allah? He said, Allah is in heaven. He said, who am I? She said, you are the Prophet of Allah. So then the Prophet ﷺ said, set her free, she is a Muslimah, she is a mu'minah. So also they are misunderstanding this hadith. They say, you see, the Prophet ﷺ here testified, gave her the certificate of Iman by just saying these two things. And this is not true. Because the other ahadith, you cannot, brothers and sisters, you cannot take the Islam from one hadith, or take the belief from one hadith. You have to bring all the hadith together in order to take the overall picture and the global view and the correct belief from the summary of all the texts together, not from one text. The author here is saying all these evidences they quoted, these are to be taken to mean, as I have explained to you, the Shaykh is saying, as I have explained to you previously, their entering faith and their acceptance and belief in what had been revealed from it at that time. So at that time, when there were no other obligations, yes, that is Iman. In the beginning, that is Iman, because there were no other obligations. But later on, when the rest of the obligations were revealed, then these things were added to the Iman. So you should not try to misunderstand or to try to apply a situation prior to the prescription of the obligations to a situation where the obligations were imposed. It's different, two different cases. You should not make you should not confuse things. That is different situation and this is a different situation. As we explained yesterday, a person, a revert, he came here and he said, I want to become a Muslim. And he says the Shahada and he died. Is he mu'min or not? He's a mu'min. Mu'min only by what? He didn't do anything except the conviction in his heart. That's it. He didn't do anything, he didn't say anything. But that's it. So this revert, imagine, this revert, he came to the Prophet ﷺ in Makkah. Okay? And there were no other obligations and he accepted the Islam. Will he be mu'min or not? Okay. The same revert, we told him after he became a Shahada, he's a Muslim. Then we told him, but there is Salah, there is Siyam, there is this, there is that. He said, no, I will not accept that. I will not accept all these things. I accept only the Shahada. Would that make him mu'min? This will take him out of Islam again. You understand now? This will take him out of Islam. If he says, treat me as those who were in Mecca, we tell him, no, we cannot treat you like that. Because those that Allah gave them the title Iman when they were in Mecca, there were no obligations. But now obligations are imposed and prescribed. So you have to take them. Is this point clear? Okay? So don't try, take a text, Quran or Hadith, apply it for a certain period when there were no obligations and then try to apply it now. Then you will make the mistake. Is this clear? So when he becomes a Muslim, he say, that is, by the Shahada you just entered into the house of Islam. You entered the door. Then there are other things you have to do. If you say, no, I will not do the other things, you say, sorry. Okay, this will take you out of Islam again. And your head will be chopped off. Because we didn't force you to enter Islam, did we? No. That's why we tell everyone, take your time, man. It's not a joke. It's not like Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam. No. This is different. This is Islam. Once you enter Islam, you can't leave it. No way. It's like the Roman Catholic marriage, you know. No way. No way to leave Islam. If you want to leave Islam, your head will be removed. Because that, we consider then you are apostate. We don't force you to become a Muslim. We don't force you. But once you accepted Islam, you cannot leave Islam. And this is not only in Islam, it is also there in the Old Testament. This is there in the Bible. The Bible says, if a person, the person who profane or the person who commits such a thing, apostasy, spare him not. Don't spare him. Kill him. That's what the Bible says. Okay, so the same ruling is there in the Bible, it's the same ruling in Islam. Okay? So the Shaykh is saying here, these are to be taken, the texts that are giving the title Iman to the people, though without obligation, these should be taken as I explained to you that this was in the early stage of Islam. As I have explained to you, they're entering faith, that is, when they were entering Iman, when they were entering Islam, that was the situation. And their acceptance and belief in what had been revealed from it at that time. And indeed it was revealed in stages. The deen was revealed in what? In stages. Just as the Quran was revealed in stages. And the witness and evidence for what we say is the book of Allah. The author is saying, if you want the dalil, I'll give you the dalil. And the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So from the book of Allah is his saying. What Allah says, وَإِذَا مَا أُنزِلَتْ سُورَةٌ فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَقُولُ أَيُّكُمْ زَادَتْهُ هَذِهِ إِيمَانًا فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فَزَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَهُمْ يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ. And whenever there comes down a chapter of the Quran, whenever a surah comes, some of them, the munafiqun, say, which of you has had his faith increased by this ayah or this surah? As for those that believe, it has increased their faith, and they rejoice. So the iman keeps what? Increasing. The evidence is the ayah, that when the ayah comes, the iman increase. That means if the iman increased, was it complete before? So the iman was increasing because it was not completed yet. So what type of iman that Allah described the early ones with? The basic of the iman of just entering it, Islam. But then this iman started to what? To grow. Started to what? To grow and increase. Are you following? So this is the ayah, is an evidence that now when this is ayah is in Medina. Why? Because there is a mention of the munafiqun. And the munafiqun hypocrites were only in where? In Medina, not in Mecca. In Mecca, the Kafirs only and Muslims. In Medina, because Islam now is spreading, the hypocrites started to appear. Hypocrisy took place in Medina, not in Mecca. That's why Surah Al-Baqarah is Madaniyah. The beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah is dealing with what? Munafiqeen. So this ayah is an evidence that the iman was not completed and perfected still. There is a room and it is growing and increasing. And whenever there comes down a chapter, some of them, the hypocrites, say, which of you has had his faith increased by it? As for those that believe, it has increased their faith and they rejoice. And time is not permitting us to complete, but inshallah I want you to promise that to attend in the coming visit, inshallah, if we remain alive, to complete the book. Are you ready? Inshallah. So maybe in 2 months time, inshallah, we'll announce again, and keep your hand out with you. Put a mark where we stop and the date, okay, and inshallah we resume and try to finish this book, inshallah, the book of the Iman. And before we start the session, I'll just try to summarize. Iman, there are three, the summary. The correct belief that Iman consists of three components there on the blackboard: utterance of the tongue, conviction of the heart, action by the limbs. Three components together constitute Iman, right? And the Iman increases and decreases. The Iman increases by doing good deeds. Iman increases by doing good deeds. And you see here the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when he said, Al-Iman bid'un wa sab'una shu'bah. Iman comprises or consists of more than 70 branches. The highest is La ilaha illallah, the lowest is to remove any harm from the road or the way of the people. These branches, they rest and they are based upon the foundation. There is a foundation of the Iman that every Muslim should have. And the increment only will happen above and on top of the basic. So this is the basic every Muslim should have. And those whom Allah brings from the hellfire, because they have the basic. Because if you lose this, the foundation, then you are not a Muslim. Then you are not a Muslim. That's why that once you lose this portion, then you are a kafir. And you remain in the hellfire. As long as you maintain the minimum level of Iman. You maintain this. But here you lost all these branches, you lost them. But you have the minimum that will keep you within the fold of Islam. That will keep you within with Islam. For instance, someone who is alcoholic, someone who is roaming around with women, womanizing, all these things. He is having this. So when he dies, we don't consider him disbeliever. We wash him, we bury him, etc. Because he maintains the minimum. His problem only here in the branches of the Iman. Keep this in mind. So Iman, 3 components together. If you say Amal is not part from the Iman, then you are not upon the right belief. Because that is not the belief of the Sahaba, Tabi'een, Ahl Sunnah. It's not the belief of them. It's the belief of a deviant sect. Okay? Here in this hadith of Jibreel, where the Prophet ﷺ said, Islam, Iman and Ihsan. 3 circles interconnected. The most inner one is the Ihsan, then the Iman, then the Islam. If you are here, then you are Muhsin. You have reached the peak. And if you are Muhsin, then you are Mu'min and you are Muslim at the same time. Right? If you are here, then you are Mu'min and you are Muslim. If you are in the second circle, you are Mu'min but you are not Muhsin. If you are in the second circle, you are Mu'min but you are not Muhsin, you are Mu'min and Muslim. If you are in the outer one, you are only Muslim. You are only Muslim.
The third one is
Ihsan.
The third one, if you are 1, 2 and 3 together, you are a Muslim. Muhsin, the Muhsin, and then Mu'min, then Muslim. Mu'min, Muslim. So it depends where you are. Okay? There are 3 terminologies or names mentioned in the hadith of Jibreel. Okay. Bear in mind, if we differentiate, if they are mentioned in the same context. Bear in mind, we differentiate and apply this Venn diagram. If these names are mentioned together, then Islam is the external deeds, Iman the internal deeds, if they are together. But if one of them is mentioned, then it covers the other. For instance, Allah says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله. O you who believe, when the call for the Friday prayer is chanted, rush to the masjid. There Allah mentioned يا أيها الذين آمنوا. Some might say Allah is only calling the mu'mineen, not the Muslimin. He said no, don't misunderstand. If one of them is mentioned, it means the other. We only differentiate if both of them put together. Like what? Like Allah says, قالت الأعراب آمنا. The Bedouins, those who just accepted Islam apparently and externally, but not the Iman settled in their heart. قالت الأعراب آمنا. The Arab, the Bedouins, nomadic tribes said آمنا, we believe. Quran said no. قولوا أسلمنا ولما يدخل الإيمان في قلوبكم. Don't say you are mu'min, you are Muslims. Because you surrendered apparently, but the Iman hasn't settled in your heart. So you see, Allah differentiates. Also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said regarding the people of Lut. He said, فأخرجنا من كان فيها من المؤمنين فما وجدنا فيها غير بيت من المسلمين. So here Allah differentiated. He said, فأخرجنا, from the village of Lut alayhi salam, he said, we delivered and rescued only the mu'mins. And what we found in that village, only one house of Muslims. So Allah, are you following, brothers? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in this ayah, He described the household, the members, as Muslims. And when He saved only the mu'mins. Why? Because the wife of Lut was not mu'mina, she was Muslimah. That means she was only showing the faith and hiding the disbelief. And Lut alayhi salam didn't know this. Yeah, pretending. She was pretending. And Lut didn't know. So when it was at the 0 hour, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved only the mu'mins. And He didn't save the wife of Lut. You understand? So when you are reading in the Quran and you see إِنَّ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَالْمُسْلِمَاتِ وَالْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ, now you apply what? This. But if it is only one is mentioned, Muslim, then you apply Islam, Iman to that person. You understand? This is the rule. When one is mentioned, it means the other by default. But if they are together in the same text, then you have to differentiate. Islam is applied to external deeds and Iman to the internal deeds. Is this clear to you? This is in a nutshell, and if we remain alive, inshaAllah, we will continue Kitab al-Iman, and now inshaAllah for a few minutes we'll entertain a few questions.